get them sharp, get them ready to go. So are we. The match is starting.
Thank you very much, and let's get on into it. We are going to start things off on Consulate between Virtus.pro and Weibo. Just a reminder for anybody who's maybe joined us slightly late. First of all, welcome. We're going to let you off for the lateness. You are here just in time. And the stakes here, well, it's everything. Everything is at stake. The loser will see their key crushed. They will go home. The winner will proceed not only into the quarterfinals, but into the top 8 of the Siege tournament, which is particularly important in the overall concept, the overall idea of the Esports World Cup as well, because it makes your club eligible for those club championship points by getting into the top 8. So really, really important for both of these teams. And we will see who comes out on top. Jesse, we've got our bands. We've got our players. It's time to have some Siege.
It's time to have some Siege. And once again here on Consulate, Tim, I'll just go over the numbers quick before we dive into it. Virtus.pro 5-0, undefeated on Consulate this season, taking down the best teams that the EML region has to offer. They've beaten G2, Falcons, GK, Shifters, and more. They're so comfortable playing on this map, and I don't think starting on the attacking side is going to be a big disadvantage for them like it would be for other teams that choose Consulate in a best of 3. Weibo like this map as well. They're 4-0 in the Asia League. They can play this against their domestic rivals, but the one time we saw them play it internationally versus Los, that was an overtime loss in Salt Lake City. So this is definitely a map that I think Weibo have shown that they know how to play, but it's not really against that same quality of opponents. They've made some interesting choices in the operator bans as well here, Tim. It's not like you have to ban shields against Virtus.pro, but if you choose not to ban shields, Nako's going to take that opportunity every day of the week. Expect him to play 6 straight rounds of shields on this map.
Yeah, that's absolutely going to be the case. The Ying being taken away, Pasha, a real Ying enjoyer as well. So I don't think it's a target so much. It's a very valuable operator on a map, Consulate in particular. So yeah, I think fair enough there, taking that one away. But look, it's, for me, VP signalling by taking that clash away. They've got, I think Nako's kind of entering that discussion of best shield players in the world.
Oh, 100%.
Definitely getting into that discussion now. You know, we've had some other big shield players across the years, and he's definitely in there. So as soon as you see VP take away the clash, you just know what's coming. That's going to be a reliance on Nako to bring those shields in. He's on blitz to begin with.
Very interesting to see this piano bomb site come through first. Typically, this is more the tertiary bomb site, as teams like to play the top floor and the bottom floor instead, but Weibo trying to throw their opponents off guard. They do love defending on this bomb site. They are absolutely dominant here, and even versus Los in Salt Lake City, they were undefeated defending on this site, so we know they like to play piano. This is a comfort pick for sure coming through from Weibo. And Virtus.pro, you can see where this push is coming from. They want to get this yellow control. They want to pressure these top floor players in and around CEO, and then whilst that pressure is happening, they can hopefully sneak down those stairs and start forcing a plant.
Hoven just thinking about having a little look up these stairs to try and challenge onto the player. It's Dan that's out in admin. Rorik on the Raura this time along, so we'll see where those Dom panels get deployed. The Deimos is a little bit of a target ban at Rorik. That is one of his primary operator choices, and anything you can do to slow Rorik down is going to be a helpful thing when you're playing Virtus.pro.
Well, that'll slow him down. A shotgun to the face. Speakeasy gets the opening frag here in this game. A really good start to come through from Weibo, and now they're trying to deal with this shield. A really nice swing from Turret as well. Takes down Skies. Posh is finding some frags in the midst of this, and the shields are finding value for VP, so they managed to get this man advantage back.
I think we're both starting to see the sides of the challenge that they're up against here. It's all well and good getting yourself a couple of kills against Virtus.pro, but they've always got players who can turn around. Pasha, Nako, 3 kills between them in a matter of heartbeats, and all of a sudden VP find themselves with an advantage. 3 versus 2. We've got Gotti playing underneath in sight at the minute. It is a piano site that they're attacking onto here, not that top floor, so don't get excited, VP fans. They are not ready to go on in just yet, and I love this Weibo just being able to play behind a little bit of that fire as well.
Yeah, Hoven's going to take this 1v1 the spiral stairs versus Dan. If he wins that fight, it could make all the difference in the world. If he goes down early, that's probably the round.
Does manage to find his man, can turn, but it's Nako again. We commented how good he is on the shields. Gets that kill. 5 seconds left to go. Are they going to take the opportunity? Yes, they do. Plant starts going down. It's all up to Pasha on the cover, but Gotti knows where he is. He goes wrong side though, and Pasha, even low health on the Twitch, manages to find his man. VP clutching victory from the jaws of defeat in round 1.
Virtus.pro, what a push that is, Tim, and you can see how focused their attempt is on that execute. They basically take 0 map control that entire round. They've got yellow stairs And that's it. Just yellow stairs when they go for that execute.
I wondered where you were going with that. You know,
just the yellow
stairs. Nowhere else to go.
But it comes off the team play between Pasha and Nako. That's the real difference maker for me, Tim. They get all 5 kills in the midst of that round, and it's not just that Nako is running in on the blitz and getting that double kill. That's great that he's able to pull off some frags in the midst of that, but it's how the rest of VP work towards him. You know, a lot of these other top-level teams, they'll play a shield for 50% of their attacks, or maybe 60% of their attacks. VP play a shield 100% of their attacks close to. So we really have a ton of experience from these other 4 players of backing up Nako, of using the space that he creates with them, and it just makes it so difficult. Even when you've got the right operators. They had a smoke at the top of those stairs to slow things down. They had a good crossfire with players coming in from that small office too, but it just didn't matter because VP were working that space so perfectly, and that's kind of the challenge that Weibo will have to overcome in this game.
On to round 2 we go then. It's going to be top floor this time around as the defensive side for Weibo moves on. Just having a look across the lineup. They've got the Tachanka. We see this quite often. So what's Speakeasy going to do? He's going to look, if he can, he'd love to play inside of the console. It might not be possible. Depends on whether the wall gets opened up or not. So that should be a focus for VP really. Get up there, probably down one of those hard breach charges. Get it on there. Get that wall opened up. Prevent the Tachanka playing inside of there. That's going to force Speakeasy a little bit deeper into sight. But he's there to basically fire off that default plant spot inside of the meeting door. That is generally going to be the plan. Well, maybe the last minute of the round or so.
Yeah. Of course, the early portion of this round probably going to come down to Hoven. He's the one who's playing in that admin extension just around break room. You've got to have to watch out for how much time he's able to delay. He's got a lot of things to worry about as he is kind of isolated here in the vending hallway, but if he can get away with his life and stall out maybe half the round, he's going to put his team into a really strong position. It's clearly going to be an admin take coming through from Virtus.pro. They're going to have probably one player on that balcony breach to try to make some kind of an impact. Rourke, of course, on the Sens can be really effective from that position, so it's just going to come down to how quickly they get Hoven out of this position, and then how do they convert from there?
They have forced him back a little bit deeper with the drones. Big mistake there from Nako. Just stands as that Razor Bloom activates. It's going to take him down on the Blackbeard. He will be collectible, I think. He's got a little bit of cover from a couple of teammates there. Hoven's not going to take the chance to push forward because he knows he doesn't need to. This is all about time for Hoven. He's wasted half of the round so far and still hasn't been moved.
I don't think he would have realized that Nako went down in the midst of that. He obviously hears the Thorn Trap go off, but it's kind of unexpected to get it down from that position, so he doesn't go aggro on it. That's going to continue to waste so much time. You've still got shields being played. We're just opening up the break room wall. The pace right now for VP is probably not going to be quite enough. They have to try to do something to break this round wide open. They've got some opportunities. Posh is lurking his way kind of around the south side of this map, but if they don't find an entry quick here, Tim, this round's just going to fall apart.
They're so slow at the minute. It looks like they might have slipped into reverse, to be honest with you, Jesse, without realising it. They're almost backing up and going out of the map. Virtus.pro definitely need to get themselves moving. Turd is just doing classic Turd things, down on a little lurk in the basement, hoping that he can get onto that rear side. Up Visa stairs could cause a real problem in the final 15-20 seconds here. Once we get there, Virtus.pro will continue now to start moving forward. They've got Spiral and they've got Admin, and this is the problem when playing against Virtus.pro. They will still find a way. Pasha, Skies, one apiece. Low time, but it's probably not going to matter. They start to pressure site. Reeks, he does pick up Nako. Weibo on the fight back, but they know where he is now. Dan manages to take down the Thorn. 4 versus 2, kill after kill comes in from Virtus.pro, and they look lethal on Consulate at the minute.
How do they do it, Tim? These rounds look so strong early from Weibo. They're just not getting map control on the side of Virtus.pro, but it's almost like they don't need it. After spending 2.5 minutes just pressuring an admin, barely even looking at the vending hall, taking so much time to get a very little amount of space, what happens? They get a couple of opportunities. They spot Turd on the flank and shut him down. They walk up those spiral stairs for a freebie on the Gaudy, and you could tell Weibo in the midst of that, they weren't really aware of what to expect from VP, because for 2.5 minutes they'd seen nothing. There was a little bit of pressure at admin, but it made it really tough to read what that second dimension was going to be from Virtus.pro. Nobody even looked at the top of Spiral Stairs until those last 30 seconds, and once they were there, Gaudy had no idea that they were going to be taking that position. I really like the attempt from Reaps inside the site to try to pull that one back, but even with low time, Virtus.pro put together and execute. It's really impressive how good this team is in the late round.
Yeah, there's got to be a little bit of frustration creeping in on the side of Weibo, I'd imagine, because what they're doing is mostly working. We saw it, you know, Hoven holding them back out of admin, burnt so much time, made it difficult for them. But when Virtus.pro are going to collapse with 20-25 seconds left to go and pick up 4 or 5 kills, how do you realistically play against that? It comes down to that age-old, you got to win your gunfights, and it's a difficult thing to say when you're going up against players like Rorik, Pasha, Dan, you know, the list goes on for Virtus.pro. So very difficult for Weibo at the minute. I think Weibo just need to remain patient here.
Sure.
What they're doing is working. The strategy is working. They are slowing down Virtus.pro. They are forcing them into these late round situations. You just kind of got to hope that sooner rather than later that tide turns and their luck runs out.
My eyes are on Turd so far for this round, Tim. He's a player that got so much value for Weibo in yesterday's victory over Enterprise. He's one of the most talented players that we have in the APL region. He can do so much good work for his squad. He's going to be here on the Rome game trying to play alongside Hoven, who's also been phenomenal so far through this tournament. Them as a duo are going to be critical to winning this round because look at the operator lineup from VP. They've got the Ram, they've got the Sledge, they've got the Shields. They want to take map control and use it to apply pressure to the site. It has to be on these roamers to find value early on, to slow them from taking that map control and to be able to apply some of that pressure so that it's not a 5v5 execute, because VP in these late rounds with 5 players alive have been so difficult to stop.
I love a roam clear with a blitz, and that's what we see Nako doing at the minute. It takes me all the way back to Julio on Black Dragons, especially here on Consulate, top floor, old Consulate, top floor. He used to love a bit of that. He'd get himself in there, the current Falcons coach when he was a player, back in his even pre-NIP days when it was Black Dragons, but the strategy stands tall and it's still very valid. Nako goes across, he's got himself into the mid-floor now. The Romers have been chased back, everybody back on site for Weibo.
Well, that's not exactly what I was expecting for an opening pick, but the Nitro Cell will do just that to take down Skies. It's kind of the problem sometimes when you do try to work that vert. Weibo didn't commit to those gunfights early on the roam. They said, fine, we know VP are slow, we're going to let them waste their own time, head back towards that basement and play around their Nitro Cells. They've already gotten one nice pick coming out from that from Reaps. Gaudy's got one more in his pocket as well. And this operator lineup 2 coming out from Weibo, it can win in the late round. You've got these Nitro Cells for Plant Denial, you've got this Echo Drone from Speakeasy as well. This is not a lineup that Weibo have ever shown before. It's a brand new strategy coming out here at the Esports World Cup from them, so this might be something that Virtus.pro won't know how to deal with when they get to that execute in the final 30 seconds.
Still needing to deal with the wall denial. I think that's been taken care of now, so we can see... Oh, no, still a little bit going on there. I don't know that they've got the answer. Pasha's going to be relocating on the Thermite. Rorik does pick up Reaps, so it's a little bit of a rethink from Virtus.pro, and this is the kind of situation, Jesse, I was talking about, where the luck might run out, where they get to a point where, hang on, with 20 seconds and we're having to rotate, we're having to change things up, it becomes a serious problem. 4 versus 4, Weibo might just need to play the clock here as much as they can, because Virtus.pro are going to have to take risks, but they start doing it again. They get to 3 versus 2 position to put the diffuser down as well. Pasha's going to go for it. It's all up to Nako, and he gets one. Can he find his second? Speakeasy, such low health, and they now guns up against him. Can they keep doing it, Jesse? This is just ridiculous. 3 rounds in a row, 1 in the final 15 seconds.
I love Virtus.pro on this attack, Tim, because it really feels like even when so many things are going wrong, something is going right, and it's enough to get them that opportunity to get back in the game. We saw them struggling outside the main breach. Pasha not able to open that wall as the Electroclaw was never dealt with on the side of VP, so they didn't have maybe their plan A strategy to come through. But whilst we were focused on the vert play and of course that main wall going on the backside of things, Nako and Rorik were just working picks. Nako pushed his way down the spiral stairs, forced a player back towards the hatch where Nako got that frag. It came down to, once again, Pasha and Nako making sure they had to win that out in the 2vx. The time got low. The walls weren't all open. They didn't have all the space that you might want in an execute like that, but Virtus.pro always have somebody in an annoying position who's finding value, who's working a man count lead for your squad, and it just makes it so awkward for Weibo, because while they're focused primarily on that main plant going down on the main breach, that's going well for them. They don't realize how bad it's getting kind of behind them on the site, and they will use attack timeout here to try to fix this game before it gets out of hand.
Pasha and Nako going big at the minute. They are combined 9-1 between them, only taking 1 death between the 2 of them in 3 rounds. You look at this from Weibo's perspective, what can they do differently? For me, they've been getting the entries. They've got 2 out of the 3 entry kills so far. I think they actually need to double down on that, because the beginning of the round, it feels like where they will find their success here against Virtus.pro. You know, we've seen VP have won all of those rounds in the last 15-20 seconds.
Yep.
So I think if you Weibo, you take advantage of that. If you're getting those entry picks, go more aggressive. Don't have that drop back to site. We saw it in that last round. They get the opening kill with the Nitro. The Roamers drop back to site and they try to hold on for 2.5 minutes. I think maybe don't do that. I think if you get that entry kill, you've then got a spare man. So even if you lose them, you're still level. You're still 4v4. So I think you send somebody like Turd, like Hoven, out on the roam. You just say, go and basically do what you want. Go and get aggressive. Go and take the fight to VP out in the map, cause them a problem, and hopefully your superstar players come good, get themselves a couple more kills out there, and then all of a sudden it's a 2v4 coming into that last 15 seconds, say,
Exactly.
and it's going to be a different situation.
Well, and that's the thing, like, clearly through 3 rounds we've seen that you cannot just rely on slowing them down and winning in the late round with 10 seconds to go, because it doesn't matter what the clock is seemingly. Virtus.pro are putting together excellent positions, so win the game in the early round, right? Manage to get yourself a man lead that's so great that the enemy just can't put a push together. You can just play your trades, simplify that end game so that when you get down to it, you really just have to play together, trade your teammates, and win things out with without too much thought behind it. That has to kind of be the game plan, and that's tough on consoles sometimes. You know, the attackers, they don't need to take much map control until they really do start feeling that pressure. It's usually a really strong defending map because it is so difficult for the attackers to get in some of those early fights and get some of that early man advantage, but VP are almost using that to their advantage. A 3-3 split would already be fantastic for the attacking team on Consulate. The fact that this could be 4-2, 5-1, or even a 6-0 for VP, that should be ringing so many alarm bells for Weibo.
Yeah, it's a massive start, and Weibo need to, I think, look alive and, like I said, just back themselves a little bit. Once they've got that advantage, push that advantage, win the end of the round at the beginning of the round, and make sure it's beyond VP before they get a chance to get back into it. Rorik, however, will pick up Hoven. That's certainly not going to help them if VP start picking up those entry kills. It's going to be 5 versus 4. It's the Tubarão off the line, which is, I don't think, going to impact things too much, although always handy to have those auto canisters to try and deal with something like a blitz if they're getting aggressive up into your face. Time being, there's going to be a little bit of a battle going on around yellow stairs again.
Already Reaps, he knows he wants to get a pick back. It was just in the break room window from the roof where Rourke got that opening pick. You can clearly see that this is not going to be the same admin take that we saw last time from Virtus.pro. They want to play the CEO window, they want to get in for yellow control, and that means you got to be a little bit more aggressive on the side of Weibo. God, he's seriously considering a jump out here. If he does that, it could be absolutely critical to take down Dan and drop the diffuser.
I love this kind of aggression coming out from where... Ooh, it didn't work out. They were predicted. Gotti was going to go out of the window, I think, there. He was certainly looking for a bit of it and gets taken down, manages to find a kill. Speakeasy onto Neko, takes down the shield, gets around the corner, stops the plant going down. That's brilliant from Speakeasy. The problem that he's got is the challenge coming in from Pasha, who is currently 7-0, by the way. He is continually rescuing Virtus.pro from these difficult situations. It's all up to Turd. Cut down by Skies. VP 4-0, running away with map 1.
Beautifully done by Virtus.pro. Once again, Tim, they're controlling the movements of Weibo Gaming. They get that first pick from outside the building onto Hoven. That gets them the man advantage. Then that kind of applies that pressure. We see Reaps getting aggressive on Spiral. We see Gotti getting aggressive on the CEO window. These players want picks back, and VP know that. They're ready for these swings. They're ready for these bits of aggression, so they're able to punish that as it comes down. Huge credit to Speakeasy, getting into that position to deny the plant after taking down Neko on the shield. That's massive, but they just don't have the bodies to cover the other angles, and Pasha works his way in through the balcony. He comes in through meeting. He's behind the enemy lines, of course. At that point, they were a 5v3 before Pasha went for that play, so you just have gaps naturally in your defense. There's nothing else you can do when you're down in that two-man lead. So, right idea maybe from Weibo. We talked about it. Get a little bit more aggressive in that early game. Try to win the round before the execute. But unfortunately, they kind of lost the round before the execute, despite some heroics. It's VP on top, and now a 4-0 lead. This might be the map, to be honest.
It's always the problem that you find against a team like Virtus.pro. I think, I agree. I think it was the right attempt. It's, you know, what I was kind of putting out there as an idea as well. Get aggressive beginning of the round. Try and get it won before it becomes a problem. The problem therein lies that you're trying to do it against Virtus.pro, and they are going to win those gunfights. they are going to come through and take advantage of that aggression as well, which is exactly what they've done. They're just winning every single element at the minute, and Weibo, they need to find a little bit of comfort somehow. They need to find their position in this map and get themselves a couple of rounds, because this is starting to look catastrophic. Like you say, we're getting over to that point of wondering whether this is done.
Yeah. I know it's pretty late for our APAC fans watching this Weibo game, hoping for a quick 2-0 versus VP, but do cause some... Don't be panicking yet, right? Because when we look through the map beat for this
Plenty more maps to come.
There's so much more to go, and this was probably, I mean, this was no doubt the hardest map for Weibo. If Weibo had won this map, the rest of the series would have been nearly impossible for Virtus.pro. We kind of expected them to dominate on Consulate. They've beaten some of the best teams in the world on this map. I don't know if we expected it to be this lopsided through the first 4, but overall in the series, Weibo are not in a bad spot. They'd love to pull this map back. They're going to give everything they've got, but VP, they might just be a step above on this map.
I think that would be my concern for Weibo right now. You've got to remember, you know, looking across the players and the kills at the minute, Gotti 0, Turd 1, Reaps 2, Hoven 1. They're being kept out of the game, and that's the big thing. So yes, they are going to look towards Chalet. 9-win streak on there. They're going to come in there thinking, yeah, we can definitely do this. But you've almost kind of been sat cold. I say this about support players a lot. When you get those support players in the clutches at the end of the rounds, I've got a lot of respect when they win them out, because you might not have had a gunfight for 6 minutes. You know, if you're a support player, you might not have been really active in that, and that's the position these Weibo players are in danger of getting into.
5 rounds deep. This is the 5th new strategy from Virtus.pro, where instead of going straight for the yellow execute, they're going to go full through the top floor, try to take this space before they get down to it, but that doesn't mean they don't have pinch pressure elsewhere. Rourke on the Habana shotgun, why not? Trying to pressure those yellow stairs, and the goal here is for Nako to push them right back into Rourke's line of sight.
That looks like it could certainly be the case, because the Blackbeard is moving forward. The call is there. I love that. Take the damage from the barbed wire. It doesn't matter. Get the kill. Beautiful stuff from Rorik. Takes down Reaps. He's aware of the flank coming around the corner. Does he get another? No. Gotti pre-fires. Wonderful stuff. Takes down Rorik. Hibana gone. 4 versus 4. 45 seconds to go.
But that's top floor control. That's exactly what VP wanted. They would have maybe liked to get a little bit more in terms of the frags, but they'll take the space. They'll take the 4v4. They can start to work for an execute. Time is getting low. 35 seconds. But that's never stopped VP before, so watch for this push, Tim, as they start to work the hatch inside of Piano. They work their way on yellow stairs. Speakeasy might be the most deadly player because he's playing close range with that shotgun. 35
seconds, Jesse. They could win it twice over today. Not a problem at all for Virtus.pro. 4 versus 4, and here comes the pressure. We've seen it so many times. They've dropped into sight as well. Nako manages to get the kill on the Solis, but great flank from Turd there. Takes down Dan. 3 versus 3 as the Blackbeard is starting to put the diffuser down, and this is something Virtus.pro have done so well so far, Jesse. Round after round is covering those planters, making sure that there is a bit of safe space. They don't take anything more than they need to. They take the minimum amount, and then they just hold brilliant angles on it so that the cover is there. I wish I could get cover like that in ranked. Phenomenal stuff from VP. 5-0.
Don't we all wish we could get cover like that, Tim? I mean, you see it from Weibo. They're maybe not expecting, playing in the APL region, for a team to be this in sync on the offense. And even at the highest level of the best region in the world, it's rare to see a team with coordination like this. They're doing their best in the late rounds with Weibo. They're taking unexpected positions, and they're finding ways to get these picks. It was a great play there on the spiral stairs, but it just feels like every other trick that they tried, it's being watched by VP. They've got the vert control to stop that push in through the plants. Nako knows exactly where he's got to get into sight and start that plant, because he knows already where his teammates are playing from. Virtus.pro have given themselves an incredibly comfortable map here. They've done these executes so many times in a row that it just comes naturally to them. It's a beautiful map to watch so far coming through from VP, and again, on the series, I'm not so worried, but I'm glad you mentioned some of these players, Tim, because I'm looking at Hoven right now. He's 1 in 5 here in this game. Hoven has not gone negative for the last 17 professional maps that he has played. Throughout this entire tournament, throughout all of Stage 1, you have to go back to Salt Lake City to find a map where Hoven entered in and exited with a negative KD. He's always been positive or even. That trend almost certain to break here on Consulate versus Virtus.pro, and it shows that this is not just a difficult match for Weibo, but this is a completely new level of opponent they're going up against.
Yeah, it really is. We're going to see that early aggression. Again, I don't hate this. Yep, get yourself into the round, get aggressive, put it to Virtus.pro, put them on the back foot. I don't know that Gotti's going to get the opportunity here, though. because you can see Virtus.pro just being very, very cautious, making sure that they're checking all those angles, that they're not losing anybody's early on in the round. And it's again going to be Nako that's the one pushing forward, taking space, and they've got the ping on the player up inside of admin. They are aware of Hoven's position, which is a little bit catastrophic when you're playing the Vigil. You want to keep yourself off the radar.
Yep. Again, 6 rounds deep now, 6 new strategies. Last time we saw VP really try to take full map control before going for his execute Tim. You saw them bring the Sledge, the Ram, try to work that Vert. This time, absolutely not. They're going to hit the back of the site. Taking server control is the name of the game here, and then they're going to go horizontal through the bottom floor. That makes these roamers' positions a little bit less impactful. It's harder to have value if you're Hoven up there on the top floor playing the Vigil. If they're just not going to focus on clearing you out, they're aware that you're there. They're fine with it. They're just not that interested in taking that space because, as we've said over and over again, VP do not take more control than they need. They're going to get that space down in the basement, and they're going to push for an execute as soon as they can.
So they'll just use something like the Claymores of Skies maybe to cover off that hatch drop so that he can't be coming down and, you know, working his way into the basement behind them. They'll just prevent that from happening, and then you just leave him out in the cold and you know you've got a 5v4 on site.
This could be really tense here, this Nitro Cell. If it kills Pasha before he gets the wall open, that could be absolutely game-changing. They were keeping the wall closed last time, and that's exactly what he does. It's only a down. It goes a little too far as Pasha's close up onto the wall, so he's still going to have the opportunity to open it. There is another Nitro Cell in the pocket of Speak Easy, but he's not really in position to open this, so that's going to be the main wall grabbed by Virtus.pro.
Yeah, possibly a bit of a mistake there. They did have the Thatcher kind of stood hanging around. Skies was ultimately able to at least get him back online. Hoven playing this from the old double floor look down onto the breach. It's not an easy shot to make, I will say that, especially if the pressure's on and they're moving quickly. 5 versus 4 still, as Virtus.pro holding on to that advantage. It's Gotti that has been taken off the board. 30 seconds left to go, and here comes Hoven on that backside. I did say it may be Claymored off, but it won't because the Thatcher had actually gone round to the main breach and pushed from there. Dan picks up Turd. Are they aware? Yes, they are. They've got the drones. They've got the intel. Dan cuts off Hoven, and that leaves us now 4v1, 15 seconds left to go. Virtus.pro doing it with time to spare this time. Jesse, they get themselves a 6-0 half, and it just, yeah, it looks like this one's probably done. GG, go next.
Even when they have the perfect timing on that flank, like the fact that Hoven drops the hatch just at the exact moment that Rourke is trying to walk in through Visa, try to spot him out, stop that flank from coming through, that was the win con, right? If he takes down the ace, he shoots the Monty in the back of the head, all of a sudden it's a completely different game, but it's like there's always a second layer. They're reading their opponents so beautifully, Virtus.pro are, and it just feels like, I mean, they're masters of this map. They're playing with their food at this point. VP looking absolutely unbeatable and getting better as the game goes on. I mean, you said it, that was the fastest attack that we've seen so far from Virtus.pro, so it's just showing complete mastery on consulates. They're, I think, no doubt the better team out of these two on this map, and I would argue Virtus.pro, a decent chance they're the best consulate team in the world right now.
It's difficult to argue against. You know, they are, at the minute, to be honest, making Weibo look like amateurs. But Weibo are not amateurs. I will back that up by saying this is a very capable team. This is a team that took Furia to overtime. This is a team that regularly gets wins on the international stage as well as regionally. We are seeing them as now a consistent part of that international circuit since Gohan has come on board as well. I think we've seen them go to like a new level again, and it's been brilliant to watch. But right now, you know, I came in saying Hoven and Gotti were two of the top players in the tournament. They've been absolutely fantastic so far. Those are the numbers. They've got 2 kills in 6 rounds between them. Like, they are just being silenced by Virtus.pro here on console. As we've said, I don't think that's going to continue for the entire best of 3. Weibo are going to have much more to say on Chalet, but you do have to ask, what impact mentally does it have on the team if they do get 7-0'd?
Virtus.pro moving to the defense side now here on the most defender-sided map in Rainbow Six Siege. They're in an excellent spot to close this one out. I'd be surprised if this was not a 7-0 coming through from VP. For Weibo, I mean, we've said it, Tim, if they lose this series, nobody's going to look to Consulate and say, they lost it in map 1. If they lose this one, it's going to be because their mental is broken into map 2. And I think for that reason, you have to be using this halftime timeout to just say, like, hey guys, we're fine, right? I want to see reassuring words coming out of Gohan, the head coach of Weibo here, just being like, even if this doesn't go our way, even if things don't come together on these offenses, just put the strategies together, see if you can get a couple of rounds going, get some momentum. If we do, we move on to our own map pick of Chalet. We're going to crush them on that map. If we don't, fine, okay? Let's not beat ourselves up over this because this is a difficult game. They're playing a really strong opponent in terms of VP, and they've just got to continue to keep the mental up in this matchup.
As we've said, this one, overall, the best three is for absolutely everything. The loser will see their key crushed at the end, and they will exit the Esports World Cup 2026 here in Paris. Virtus.pro looking very comfortable on console at 6-0, swap sides, and we have the bans come in. Virtus.pro take away Grim and Glaz, two very execute-focused operators. Going to be removed and make it difficult for Weibo maybe to find that space particularly. That's what Glaz and Grim are going to do for you. They're going to create space, they're going to create those safe spots to go in and get a diffuser plant to get that done. That's going to be a little bit trickier for Weibo now.
Yeah, I really like that mute ban coming through from Weibo too. Not only is it Pasha's most played defensive operator here in the bottom floor of Consulate, but it's also just a really good op in terms of countering some of those roam clearing operators that like to get brought here in this day of age. Talking about Snake, Dokkaebi, Deimos, that trident of intel operators that can be really powerful at finding those isolated players and forcing them out of position. If VP want to go for a roam game here, and they might, Pasha's 8-1 sitting on the top floor right now. He could absolutely do anything in this round, and there'd be no reason to criticize him. Weibo should have the tools to deal him out of this position. They've just put Turret on the Snake. They've got Reaps on this Dokkaebi. I want to see them going fast for this roam clear and taking a man advantage.
Setup is still going on inside of site, and you might just get your wish here, Jesse. The Blitz is looking to get in there aggressively. Opens yellow door. We're going to have Snake scanning out as well, just providing that intel. So Weibo already kind of knocking on the door and thinking about getting on inside of this map. It's going to be Reaps who will go straight on into admin. And I like this. A little bit of pace, a little bit of aggression coming out of Weibo. Like you said, you're 6 down. You might as well throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
They spotted Skies inside of Visa. They caught him on that Snake scan, so they will know that he's got this fortress built up with these Kiba barriers. They're doing a great job of spotting him out. But there are players to worry about elsewhere, too. They just walk in and take this fight. Two different angles are coming towards Skies, but he's got this cover with the Kiba barriers. Hits a nice shot there, attempts to find that frag, but it's Reaps who gets the opening instead.
Yep, great team play from Weibo. Gotti manages to find Rorik, and they are starting to get themselves into this one quickly, just as we had hoped for. 5 versus 3, as Army and Mirror both off the board. Bit of utility gone with them as well. So Weibo going to be very happy with that. They need to, I think, look, even if we say, you know, Consulate still goes to VP, there's a good chance that it does. Even for Weibo, getting a round or two, it just mentally removes that 7-0. It's brilliant for them.
It's a tough fight for Speakeasy to take up against the Warden close range with the shotgun. He won't be able to blinds, and he won't be able to do much close range up against that as well. He wants to make space for the Reaps. He pops his glasses, takes this fight, and walks right into the hand of Reaps. That's really nice coordination with the shield. They're doing a great job of fighting these isolated picks, Tim. That's what they had to do up against this defensive lineup. That's what they're finding success with. They've now put Nako and Dan in a really difficult position. They've got some great long-range guns, but there's so much work to do.
Yeah, Peter Pasha in absolutely beautifully there to the waiting arms of his teammates. So we found ourselves 5 versus 2. They're now starting to open up above. I like this from Weibo as well, Jesse. They're not rushing here. They're still ticking those boxes. They're still taking care of the fundamentals. Let's open the verticals. We've got time. Let's remove those power spots before we start trying to go in and just like rush a plant down. This is really good from them.
So far this time might be the biggest advantage VP have. They were so successful on their own attacking half of getting these executes down while the clock was still so low, but can Weibo do the same thing in the 5v2?
30 seconds left to go. Here comes the Blitz just chasing that Cade away. They know they don't need to take the risks here. They don't really need to take the fights. They just need to push them around. Where have we seen this before? Dan and Nako, they just come alive in the last 20 seconds, don't they? That's going to be diffuser down. It's all up to Hoven with 2 down as well. This one looks like it's probably going to be over. He wants to collect his teammate, not go for the plant. 10 seconds left to go. Dan manages to pick up 1v1. It's all up to Dan. He doesn't miss. 7-0 Virtus.pro. A 2v5 one out, Jesse. I'm not sure they're going to
do or die, as we were saying, especially for Weibo. If you do not win this map, you'll be out of the tournament.
A map for Weibo to save themselves then. A map for Virtus.pro to progress into the quarterfinal. That is how it falls here on Chalet. If Weibo get the win, we will see the decider of Clubhouse. As you've said a couple of times, Jesse, this is not generally considered a good map for Virtus.pro. But look, who knows? We have seen over the last couple of months their map pool getting deeper and deeper. It is a criticism that we used to have of old Virtus.pro was how shallow that map pool was. They'd play one of 3 places. You knew exactly what they were going to do. That has definitely been something that has changed over the last couple of months, and maybe they surprise us. Maybe they've done a lot of work here on Chalet.
Well, this is kind of the ultimate test, right? Because of how this map veto came through, VP, they're going to have to win at least one map where they've struggled on historically in order to win this series. They kind of have to get that monkey off their back, find that ability to be able to break through on one of these maps. We've always talked about them for years with having a weaker map pool, and while I don't think that that's as valid of a criticism in 2026 as it used to be, this is a good chance to just kind of put that fully to bed. Take down Weibo here on Chalet, prove that you can play these maps even when your opponent have a massive lead. We've talked about VP's record on Chalet, Tim. I do want to mention Weibo's really quick. 9-game winning streak on Chalet. Most of those versus APL opponents. They will be weaker teams that they've gone up against, but that does include beating Heretics back at SI, so they've got some history taking down some EML teams here. You just made a face. I know Heretics are not VP, but even still, Weibo will be comfortable on this map, and they should have quite a deep strat book.
Round 1. We will go to the top floor site to begin with. Virtus.pro on the defense. They will have chosen the starting side, obviously wanting to give themselves an opportunity to get on that kind of best foot forward. We do expect the attackers to have a little bit of an advantage at times on Chalet, but I think Virtus.pro just looking at it and thinking maybe they can just play into slightly a little bit more comfort by being on the defense.
Yeah, we're going to have Pasha playing down here around Kitchen, of course. The game plan looks to be for Weibo. Take control of this north side of the map. Make sure you have kitchen control, make sure you have solar control, and then go in for a more or less direct push, similar to a lot of those executes we saw from BP, where they get very little map control. The game plan to do just that, of course, is going to have Turd walk in from the basement. Speakeasy is here on the trophy window. They're going to have players up on those solar windows as well, so here comes the push on the kitchen.
Pasha knows now that he's going to be fronted up by a shield. Nade goes in, and the problem is that he's got Solid Snake moving in behind him. Beautiful play. Turd takes him down. Fantastic team play coming out of Weibo. That's what we wanted to see. Bit of aggression. Go in there, get those entries, give yourself the advantage. Are they aware of Rorik, though? That would be the big question. We've seen one underneath as well. Reaps is down there in the basement on the Capitao. I think looking to maybe put some arrows up into this position, possibly help clear Solar out. 1 minute 30 left.
Oh, out the window, opportunity for Rorik right as Reaps is getting on cam. If he commits to that a little bit harder, Tim, I think that's a freebie, but gets a little bit scared, of course, doesn't know what Reaps is doing out there on the rappel, so clearly an opportunity from Rorik. He's going to have to find some other way to find impact in this game playing down below. Nako does find Speakeasy. That's a massive pick, and there goes Rorik, the second to run out at the exact same window to take down Reaps. It's a lead for BP.
Yeah, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. They've allowed him to get out there again, take down that window player, and yes, they've got themselves a kill in response, but the problem is they've lost that double window control. It means there's now a little bit of freedom inside a site for these players of Virtus.pro to be able to move around. They've got 2 on solar side, 1 on piano window. Turd gets aggressive though, goes in, takes down Dan. Great move for Weibo, make it a second. He needs to have a big game for them here, and he starts off fantastically well. 3-0. It is all up to Rorik inside a site. They know exactly where he is. He manages to find the first. 1v3 becomes a 1v2. Surely not again. It will not be, as Hoven manages to find him, and that's going to be Weibo taking not just the first round of Chalet, but their first round of this matchup.
I really like that from Weibo, Tim. They take that one step at a time. They recognize that Pasha is all by himself down inside a kitchen, so they pinch on him with really good position between their shield player and, of course, Turd, making his way up through West Main. Once they get this opening pick right here, they start to snowball things into their favor. A bit of an unfortunate death with Nako getting that one and Rorik on the run out, but it really doesn't matter because Weibo has such strong map control. Couple of players over peak, couple of players over swing, because VP, they know that they don't really have the control to stop a plant, so they're desperately trying to win some of those gunfights, but Turd's holding an F2 inside of Solar. That is a terrifying position to go up against, and VP, they just don't have the firepower to beat him back.
Yeah, Turd's done really well there, I think. That's what I want to see from Weibo. I keep talking about backing themselves. Hoven got it, Turd particularly. Huge players in that respect that will kind of do the unexpected, go in and get a couple of kills. It needed that movement, it needed that aggression, it unlocked the round, and they need more of that. So we move on to round 2. Having lost Master Bedroom, VP will move on to Game and Bar.
This is where that Wamai ban's really going to come into effect, Tim. It does give played on the top floor, but particularly for Bar, Wamai is so powerful. Probably the best operator on Chalet for locking down that library corner. Skies loves to play that position on the Wamai. He's going to be forced over to the Jaeger this time around. For a long time, you were a fool if you didn't ban a Zombie on Chalet. The meta's kind of shifted where Wamai is now the biggest threat on the defense. So I was glad to see Weibo take that out. It's going to make them a little bit easier if they want to try to push some of those players out of library up above the site. But just at the start of this push, it definitely seems like Weibo might be applying some pressure here on the full map clear. Going to be taking some space over towards Solar, but they've still got that defuse kit out towards library. So expect this to be a long round where Weibo try to take a bunch of map control before they go for their execute.
Neiko on the Clash was originally in a slightly more advanced and aggressive position. It's kind of up towards Master Bedroom, but he's been forced back quite quickly once that pressure has mounted. He's now finding himself playing just inside of Ivy on that double door. He's going to be there to stall down this push as much as he can, but to be honest, they can just get themselves through into office anyway, breach that soft wall and move through instead. They've got the Vendetta, they've got the tools to be able to do it. So something Neiko needs to be, he needs to be cautious of, because he could easily find himself kind of getting flanked from Mezzanine almost there if they got too advanced on the attack. So he's dropped himself back to Library Stairs instead, and that's where he's going to post up with that shield.
Feels like they're almost trying to pull Neiko's attention, right? Apply some pressure on this piano side so that somebody else can start to make kind of an entry point. They do have a lot of players out there on kind of the ego window making their way forward. Here comes Reaps now as the smokes come through as they try to push their way in through the Cases hallway. They do take this space very nicely, but VP, where have they gone? They've completely fallen off this top floor, Tim. They will let Weibo have it for free 90 seconds deep into the round.
Now using those verticals, Neiko way back inside of sight on that Clash shield, just, really keeping an eye on that, because it's going to be something that can slow down this attack massively, but he needs to be careful, because with those verticals being used, it's going to be pretty easy to get an angle onto it.
Yeah, I don't love this position from Virtus.pro team. They've given up a ton of map control. They've got 5 players desperately trying to play in sight, but it's getting really claustrophobic. So they've moved Pasha down to the bottom floor. He might be going for a flank. It's being watched by Gaudy at the moment. There's 50 seconds for Weibo to start trying to work picks, and you can see the damage they're already starting to get.
You see the pressure that operators like Neiko are coming under at this point. Sky's taken down. We see it as Reaps manages to find him from that verticality that Virtus.pro gifted over to Weibo. 5 versus 4. Weibo starting to now get aggressive, push forward. Still haven't really dealt with the Clash, and that was the fight that they really could have done with winning. Pasha manages to pick up Gotti on the stairs, takes down the Dockerby, no more calls. Scan comes in, it doesn't matter. Pasha manages to fight back against it. Rorik gets one, Turd with a response. 14 seconds left, but the kills come in from Dan and Rorik. Virtus.pro grab their first defense, and despite playing it very passively, giving up a lot of ground over to Weibo, it's kind of like I said at the beginning there, just keep it tight, if nothing else. Make it difficult for them to get that advantage. And there was that moment of magic from Pasha as well, taking down Gotti. A big moment in the round there, especially then when he gets tracked on the Deimos and gets that kill. Big play from Pasha.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that he added that second dimension, right? Other than Pasha, every single person on VP was bunkered up in and around that bomb site. That makes it really difficult to actually work picks. But because they had Neiko on that Clash at the bottom of the blue stairs, slowing down the advance, it allowed Pasha to kind of make that space to apply that extra pressure. And you can go back to Consulate, right? It was Pasha and Neiko, the 2 players that were coordinating so expertly to get a lot of those early rounds on Consulate. They're able to do just that again, where Neiko's the distraction. Neiko's drawing all of this attention. Neiko's playing safe enough. He's staying alive throughout almost the entire round, and he just opens the door for Pasha to come through and make those kills happen. Really impressive stuff coming out from BP. I was almost worried about them for that round because they gave up so much of the control early, but they had a game plan. They knew they wanted to play with their Clash late in sight, and it perfectly paid off.
Round 3. Virtus.pro will now move us into kitchen and dining, so we are going to see a master and office presence from them, much like we did back in the first round. Rorik's just got himself inside a mud window at the minute. He's going to think twice about it, backs off 20 seconds into the round. I think he was just hoping somebody was going to come looking for a quick entry maybe, or movement around there, but as there are no audio cues for anybody running past, he decides it's time to dip away. As I said, you can see that presence inside of office. It's Skies and Dan who are going to be tasked with holding on to the verticals. They ended up giving it up reasonably easily last time, did Virtus.pro. Weibo able to go in there and claim it. I think this time looks like they're going to be a little bit more entrenched.
Yeah, Pasha can make his way over there as well. He's currently playing the top blue stairs, so they've got a couple of opportunities, and Pasha will do just that. He starts to make his way back over towards the piano side of the map, so they're consolidating up above this bomb site. They started with a couple of players over towards piano, but they didn't want to commit to it. Rourke was down below. He's actually going to go rat in the basement for a little bit. We'll see what he gets up to later on in this round, but for now, conceding space to Weibo, being okay with them taking that space, and giving them some problems. These bandit batteries here on the office wall are going to take a little bit of time to go through. Often we see the two-brow played in this position to make it even longer to stall things out. That's not being played from VP, but instead they've got this Azami who can continue to lock things down, close up some of those angles as soon as they get opened up. Taking piano control and taking control of that office is not an easy task for Weibo.
Great play from Gotti to help that wall get opened. If you didn't notice what happened, he used his explosive grenades to clear off the bandit battery. But as Dan went back in thinking he might have a little look at a bandit trick, we could see he was suffering from those stun effects because he sent a stun grenade in afterwards to make sure that that wasn't possible from the bandit. Pasha taken down this time. He won't be the hero. Neko did manage to find a nitro onto Reaps, taking the Capitao down. Always good to remove that utility. Gotti does find Skies. We're going to have one down as well. Neko with Dan being taken out, and it is a quick mop-up from Weibo at the end of round 3. 2-1 to them.
Really nice seeing that come through. Once again, Tim, VP giving a lot of map control to their opponents. That kind of opens the door for Weibo to walk in and take those gunfights in and around piano. It wasn't going to be easy, but they have excellent weaponry with those F2s firing off for the attackers. They've got good information on that snake scan, and they're just using it to pick apart these defenders, find them from these windows. Chalet's a really attacker-sided map, and big reason for that is because you can find so much value from outside those windows. It's going to be even easier to get picks from outside the building now that you've banned out that Azami, because no longer can you close up those positions, shut down those sight lines, give yourself the opportunity to make some rotates. I like the snake ban as well coming out from VP. We saw that getting huge value early in that round. Turret has played it every single round so far here on Chalet, but I'm still worried about the stronger guns and the window angles that will be held by Weibo throughout these next 3.
Yep, that VP timeout being called in. I think a good plan. You know, they don't want to let this get too far behind. I think there might be a little bit of concern on the side of Virtus.pro about having to go to Clubhouse as well. They know that it's not a fantastic map for them, as is Chalet, and I think they are looking at this as, let's get this done as a 2-0. We don't want to be taking that chance in what is effectively a best of 1 on Clubhouse, because that's what it will come down to if we get there. So definitely, you know, yep, they're only 1 round down, but they're just not wanting to get out of touch. They've also taken away the Solid Snake as their next ban. No surprise there. Turd's done some serious damage on that operator through those first few rounds, and Virtus.pro wanting no more of that action.
Back timeout being called by Dark, the hedge code of Virtus.pro. He'll be very familiar with Weibo as he coached BNK Fear X down in the APAC region for 2 years, of course, making some big results there for the #1 squad coming out of Korea. Decided to come over to the EML region at the start of this season, coaching this new Virtus.pro team after he, of course, got his teeth cut down in South America. He can often be one of those overlooked coaches who's had some really big results in his career. I remember when he took down G2 a couple of years back with that Fear X roster and knocked them out of one of the majors. I'm blanking on the exact. It might have been Manchester. One of these events back in the day, but clearly he knows what it takes to take a team to these deep results here at events, and now with Virtus.pro, he's hoping to do just that, get them back in the game on this defense side.
They're going to have to get back in the game up on the top floor. It is master bedroom again, so they are not going to be using the basement. They're going to be going for, I would imagine, the same rotation now. Reaps being particularly cautious as he approaches there. I love the attention to detail from Weibo so far on Chalet. They've not been giving basically anything up to Virtus.pro, making life very difficult. They've got 2 out of 3 entries as well, and there's not too much. Make that 3 out of 4. Turd picks up Pasha. Take away the Solid Snake. Doesn't matter. He'll bring the Deimos instead and still get the job done. Pasha on the Solus as well. That's your win condition removed.
Yeah, I mean, he was the opening death in round #1 in the exact same position on the exact same operator. It feels like this game plan from Pasha needs a little bit more support if they're going to continue to run this. Something to think about for VP going forward on this map, but for now, it's not something that they can dwell on. You lose that pressure down below. It has been Rourke historically who's been trying to apply that pressure as well to help out his teammate down on that bottom floor, but he's just going to be playing in the bathroom at the moment. There's really nobody aggressive on the side of VP to try to support that bottom floor player. Neko has an opportunity now. He's not really facing any pressure on this library side, so if he wants to go for a drop, maybe flank down these blue stairs, try to apply some pressure on this flank up against Weibo, he could find some success, but he's going to have to time it really, really properly because this push is under full effect for Weibo.
Yincandela will go in. We see the Toxic Babe coming out just to slow down any possible push from those solo windows. So it is a battle of utility for utility at the minute. Reap's working underneath. Default cam taken down. We have the Deimos track as well, but you ain't going to get him because he's in the bathtub at the minute. The nade, however, might just change things a little bit. Absolutely love that play from Turd. Beautiful stuff. Creates the angle, sends the nade in, and then predicts the movement, watches the track. Just a cacophony of utility. Just beautiful stuff.
He's writing the book on how to play entry on Chalet, especially for this top floor bomb site. He's done a miraculous job of clearing out these aggressive positions. Now that Bathroom's no longer under their control, they're going to have to find some way to get back in this game. Skies on the Cases window will take down Gotti. That's a great pick back, but you're still worried about the solar pressure, right? Hoven's outside the window. Reaps is over towards the stairs. Turd's down below. There's so many problems you haven't dealt with for VP.
Yeah, VP in serious trouble here on Chalet, to be honest. We're starting to see the difference that we spoke about in these map choices and how they are basically playing each of their favourites. Turd takes down Dan, closes it out. Weibo 3-1, and that's 7-0. It might not be matched, but I tell you what, there might be a response that's not too far away from it.
Yeah, VP, I think, genuinely just a little bit lost on those top floor defenses, Tim. They're not able to get the aggression or take the initiative at any point in those rounds. They've got Pasha down below trying to make something happen on his own. He's consistently getting shut down. They've got players over towards the library side, which are just having no impact until they come back to site in those last 20 seconds. It just feels like that's a bomb site where all of the initiative is held by Weibo, and VP just don't have a good grasp on how to defend it.
Well, it comes down to that depth again, doesn't it? Because, you know, you said yourself, we were watching them on Consulate, and we saw strategy after strategy after strategy, changing. Always something different. They're nothing different.
Great point.
It didn't work in the first round. It didn't work in the fourth round. Pasha underneath, taken down in exactly the same. It's so easy for Weibo to go through and do that. And it just shows that VP do not have that depth here on Chalet. They have plan A, and then they have plan A, and then they might try plan A.
Right. And I fear we're seeing that again, Tim, with this bar bomb site coming out. And they did win this back in round number 2, so they're at least trying something again that worked the first time. But again, we see Nako on this Clash. Again, we're seeing Pasha on this Thorn. Again, we're seeing Dan on this Aruni. You know, they no longer have that Jaeger because there wasn't really much library pressure last time coming through from Weibo. So I like the small change-ups they've made, but both times, you're absolutely right. They're small change-ups coming through from VP. They're not trying brand new strategies here on the defense. And for Weibo, that kind of gives them the advantage here in the second quarter because they know what they're going up against. They know the approximate positions that these players are likely to play, and they can run a very similar strategy. You once again have Turd and Speakeasy working on the solar side. Gotti here, of course, on this playing alongside his shield, trying to make some space here around the front door. You've got everybody really playing their role on the side of Weibo, and they will happily just take this map control, try to push things back, and work their way past this Clash like they tried to do last time.
Yeah, and same thing again. It's plan A. It's plan A for VP. Nako has been forced back straight away by that utility, by those drones coming through, and he will, in about 10-15 seconds, probably drop back to the top of library stairs, as he did last time, and it's going to be this same structured fallback from VP. Last time it worked out for them, they were able to get the round, but don't forget, that was on the back of a big double kill from Pasha. A beautiful long-range kill onto Gotti on the main stairs, and then he picked up the Deimos, who was tracking him actively at the time. A 50-50 fight it's always going to be. We do see Speakeasy taken out. Skies has been lost along the way as well, but that Blackbeard going down could be a big moment. However, it does kind of remove one of the big problems that Nako could cause them.
That's a favorable trade for the defense for sure, taking out the Blackbeard, but you can see the Dokkaebi immediately hacks those cams, gives a little bit of information over towards Weibo. They spot out that glass shield playing around top blue. They spot out some of the setup going over towards Mez that Dan is playing behind as well. So they know what they're going up against here, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy to close this one out. Rourke down below, it's using some great smokes through the floorboards to stall things out on the side of Weibo. Nako is kind of alone here at the top of blue, but he's got Dan playing inside this library position as well. They can just play the time at this point from VP. Last time they gave up top floor with 1:30 on the clock. This time it's a minute and they're still here.
Yeah, they've done a better job of holding on to it. Dan manages to pick up Hoven as well, make it a double. They couldn't get it out of Pasha, but they could get it out of Dan. 4 versus 2, Reaps and Gotti, last 2 alive. These were the rounds that we saw Virtus.pro able to win themselves on Consulate. When they were in those 2v5s, 2v4s, they were able to still get it done. Can Weibo come in with the same sort of energy? Because I tell you you what, if you offer VP a 3-3 half here, I think they'd bite your hands off. So Weibo, it's time to step up and put them under pressure, much like they did to you. 20 seconds left to go. We hear the Toxic Babe canister just detonating on that door, making it difficult for them to push from that angle. And right now, Weibo just waiting for the smoke to dissipate. They're kind of hanging around before this final push comes in. That's going to signal that it will. Got it. Picks up Dan. 2v4 becomes a 2v3. They're going to have to put the diffuser down. Not a chance as Nako gets the kill. Pasha with the last. And that's going to be VP taking a second defensive round. And they are at least keeping it competitive on Chalet.
Virtus.pro maintain a 100% win rate in this series when Nako has a shield. Of course, all 6 attacks on Consulate. Now back-to-back bar defenses with the clash here on Chalet. Again, similar setup. Dan really doing some great work there inside of Library. That last time they gave it up, they had to have a little bit of a clutch come through with Pasha. This time it's Dan who steps up. He finds those long-range fights with the DMR. It was really impressive. These 2 kills right there inside of Library, that got them the 4v2 advantage. Not enough time on the clock for Weibo to really put anything together there. And again, they didn't really have anything to counter the clash with. They didn't bring a Nomad. They didn't have a Capitao to try to deal with that. They didn't have a Zofia. All these common clash counters that you often see weren't really being brought out on the side of Weibo. So something to rethink if we do head to overtime, Tim. That won't be something to worry about for the next little while. But VP, it's clear that they have one site that they're very strong on. And Weibo, if we get to that round 13-14, that'll be something to worry about for sure.
100%. We now need to see Virtus.pro if they want to set themselves up for the second half here, win this and get themselves into it at least level pegging. Gonna be Weibo looking to take the advantage. They are attacking one last time and it is going to be onto that mid-floor. Kitchen and dining. The battle over the top floor we saw last time reasonably easily dealt with. They were able to breach the wall into office using the Zofia from underneath. They don't have that option this time around. They haven't brought the Zofia with them, so it's going to have to maybe be a slightly more direct approach.
Oh, but there's no bandit this time either, Tim. I mean, the strategy is very different. This is the first bomb site really where VP have completely changed up their setup. I like these castle barricades, even if it's being answered quite easily by Reaps here on the sledge. Starting to make their way in towards the building. They've got the Denari set up on the top floor too, so it really feels like this might be VP changing things up for the first time here on the defense. But the name of the game is stall things out of the top floor, and without that kind of Kai Tuberau combo that so many teams love running around the office, it can be very difficult to waste enough time on this top floor, because Weibo, they've got great tools. They've got this Sens, they've got the tracks from Turd, they've got really good guns being held by Hoven and Reaps, and of course the shield. So if they can find a way into this top floor, start making some space, stop clearing some ground, it's going to be tough for VP to waste enough time up here to actually put themselves in a winning position.
Picking out the trip connectors there will, of course, identify Denari. If Pasha hadn't already picked up, that's going to mean that it's possible for her to be able to use those Deimos tracks on to Denari alongside with any other operators that have been identified so far. Halfway through, Sentry's been identified because Turg is going to put the track on. Rorik manages to find Reaps, an entry really for VP. Only... that levels things up. 3-3 on the entry so far in this matchup. So they've both been getting active in those early rounds. Are they aware of Rorik's position now, though? Looks like we're going to have the Deimos just trying to get round behind him, but I'm not sure that they're aware of him hiding just inside of the bookcase.
Yep. No, this is a big problem from Weibo. They weren't actually trying to full clear that top floor, Tim. They just wanted to go somewhat direct to the site, but as soon as they lose their West main player, now it gets really difficult. Of course, Rorik's playing close on that position. They've shut it down. Huffing gets one back onto Dan, so this top floor pressure is coming out now. It's a little bit late, 60 seconds to go, but they're pivoting and it's starting to work.
That's the big problem. We've got to remember this is not a top floor site, it's a mid-floor site, so they've still got to get themselves on into a position to execute. That is going to help massively, though. Taking down Pasha is going to free up a little bit of space in Trophy, but Solar particularly, and now they can start working those verticals. They don't have the sledge, which isn't ideal, but they do have Turd on the Deimos using that Vendetta. You can see him chasing Skies round at the minute, who's going to try and get himself to safety. Will be able to do so, and then as soon as that track wears off, he'll be able to come back upstairs, but he needs to be careful because Turd's still holding that angle for now.
20 seconds. I mean, this is getting really low here for Weibo. They got to try to fake some way back in towards the site. Diffuse Kit is inside a trophy, so this push on the backside, it's just going to be pressure.
Just too easy. Too easy for Speakeasy, who comes in and gets a double on the Blackbeard. That opens things up for him to go in and start putting a plant down. Sky's had one kill that he needed to find but couldn't, and that is going to be Weibo taking the half 4-2 and looking solid now, moving on to their defensive chalet.
Jared remains my MVP in this game so far, Tim. He's just had so much value. Of course, on those opening picks, we talked about him taking out Pasha on some of those top floor attacks, but even just rooting players out of position. That track that he got onto Skies on the castle, he didn't get a frag out of it immediately, but he forced Skies out of trophy, and that was the power position that VP had to try to win that game. That was the only thing that they had to try to stop that push in down those trophy stairs, make their way in towards the site. Once he was out of that position, Speakeasy did a really good job in the Blackbeard of taking that space, got a double kill for it, of course. Really nice pressure from the ace on that lobby side too. So Weibo Gaming putting together some really strong pushes. It definitely feels like they are the stronger team. They know some of these angles on the attack here on Chalet, but keep in mind, this is a map that leans towards the attackers. We often do see teams struggling to defend on Chalet, and VP are now going to get to move to that offensive side. They chose defense first. I don't know if that's because they actually prefer the defense or if it's because maybe they just want to get the harder side out of the way first, but there is some silver lining here for VP fans where they can start to move to the stronger side now.
I'd hate to take that silver lining away.
Okay, well, you're going to, aren't you, anyways?
I'm probably going to.
All right.
Just having a look at the numbers for VP, we do have 5 performances from them on Chalet, so we've got a reasonable number of rounds to be looking at. Attack win rate for them down at 31%, only winning generally 1 in 3 attacking rounds, so we would expect maybe 2 from them. Sure. This is there for the taking for Weibo, who, by the way, have a 74% defensive win rate. Like, it's not looking great for VP. In terms of the map in general, I completely agree with you. If they've done a bit of work, maybe they come in and we see a better attack from them. The possibility is there, but the numbers don't really back it in VP's case, unless they have done something to specifically change that up. But I think, you know, VP at this point, you know, they've got to be focused here on Chalet, but there's going to be a little bit of the back of your mind thinking about a clubhouse.
For sure. Opportunities abound for Virtus.pro. We talked about it coming into this map, how this was always going to be a tough map coming through from Virtus.pro. Weibo Gaming, I think, have done a really good job on that attacking side of exploiting some of those weak points on the side of VP. They win that top floor site twice. They win that kitchen site twice. Very aware of those win cons, and now they just have to string together 3 of these defenses. Win your primary site, win 1 more along the way, and you should be in prime territory to close out this game and send us to a clubhouse. I like the Azami ban early coming out from VP. Again, you'd expect to see this paired with a Wamai in 2026. Just after his buff, he becomes so powerful. And Weibo Gaming, for the second map in a row, Tim, not being afraid of those shields from Nako. Happy to take away some of those other angles. They think if he's going to play a shield, he's going to play a shield. We've got ways to prepare for that.
Well, the best that you can realistically achieve, you're quite right with the Wamai there, the Glass is going to join as well. The best that you can realistically achieve by taking those shields away anyways is kind of hurting him for 3 rounds maybe, right. You know, because you're still going to, even if you take Monty and Blitz now, say, you're going to have 3 rounds of Blackbeard, so then you take away the Blackbeard. So maybe you've got 3 rounds without near corner shield, or maybe he just brings the fuse shield anyway, and it doesn't really matter as much. But yeah, I think it's a brave move, but I think it's the right move to not get baited into that and to say, actually, look, where's the real damage going to come from on the executes?
You know what? I believe it was G2 who were playing Virtus.pro in Salt Lake City on Chalet when they banned all 3 shields up against Nako. Of course, he played 1 shield for 3 rounds. And then the second that he had to play on a gun, I think he played the Sens, or maybe it was Deimos, he dropped the 4K in the very first round with a gun. So we definitely know how good Nako can be when he has to grab one of those weapons and start finding frags for his team. But he will be on the shield to start things off, and I'd expect that to stay consistent through the rest of this Chalet. The name of the game for Virtus.pro has to be those strong executes. They found them on Consulate. It didn't matter what the man count was. It didn't matter what the time was. They had really good late rounds, final 10 seconds. They have to be able to find that again now on this map.
And as you said at the beginning, Jesse, that's going to be difficult for them. They can't keep relying on those 15, 20 seconds. We need to see them, especially here on Chalet, a map that they are not great at attacking, getting in there a little bit quicker, getting themselves established so that they're given. The important thing is if you can go for your execute at 30 seconds remaining, 40 seconds remaining, you're giving yourself a second chance. That's what you're doing. You're buying yourself another life. If it doesn't quite pay off, if somebody gets taken out, if Diffuser gets dropped, you have an opportunity to go in and try and change that, try and do something about it. When you come down to those 15 seconds, it better work, because if not, there are no second chances. So I think VP definitely need to be looking towards giving themselves a little bit of breathing space. We are so far a minute into the round. We don't have anybody down as of yet, and it's going to be VP just starting to move in now with Dan into mud.
Yeah, this is classic VP, Tim. They're going to want to take their time, and they're going to want to clear this map control. They're going to want to take a lot of space here on the north side, try to make their way in through library, make their way in through games. And because of this, they've kind of telegraphed their push a little bit. Weibo have moved a lot of players over to this direction. Hubbin's down here, Reaps is over in this position, of course. You've got a lot of players playing around this side of the map. Even Gaudy up on the top floor. So watch out for this push. There's a lot of Weibo gaming players creeping around the map here.
Razor underneath the window needs to be dealt with. It's not going to be dealt with. We're going to have Neko taking a little bit of damage there. Does manage to get his shield in front of it, though. Could be an opportunity. He's got himself into a position to try and... Thinking about it. I don't know if they're thinking about putting the diffuser down or... what they're going to be aiming to do. Of course, no, the site's not in game anyway, so they're not going to be... they're just not moving. They've just got themselves in through the window. Skies manages to take down Reaps. They're going to be forcing Hobbin away, but it doesn't really gain them too much at the minute, especially not when they've only got 55 seconds left to go.
Yeah, this is a pretty bad early game coming through from VP. They'll take the space gladly, but it's only after Weibo give it up. They get some really nice picks over on that side of the map. They play aggressive on the side of Turd, and of course, Gaudy finding some good value is there as well. They're going to make their way over towards the office wall. They should be able to break this one open. They've got a couple of different tools to make that happen, but even still, Tim, this is going to be awkward close on this doorway. This blitz, he can't flash with the mute jammer there.
Exactly that. Nitro goes out, will be shot out. Wasn't quite quick enough to detonate, but 27 seconds. Turd manages to pick up the shield, and that looks like the round as he gets another. Sometimes we'll see players drop off when they move on to the other side. Turd says, no, not me. I'm going to continue. 12-3 so far on Chalet, turning it into his playground as he just runs around getting kill after kill after kill, takes down Skies, and that is going to be 5-2. Weibo winning what I would call a swing round there, getting themselves 3 rounds in the lead and looking very, very comfortable here on Chalet.
On Consulate, it didn't seem to matter much for VP whether they won the early game or not because their final executes were so damn good. But Tim, it just didn't feel like that early round was strong enough from Virtus.pro. You've got so many strong attackers still on the board. Snake's not been banned out. Dokabee's not been banned out. They brought the Deimos and the Lion combo, and that's great, but it just didn't feel like it was enough to spot those aggressive players over on the library side. When Rourke walked in through the front door to try to apply that back pressure, he instantly got fragged out, and it just felt like the information was a little bit lacking on the side of VP. You telegraphed for almost a minute and a half what side of the map you're pushing on. All of the pressure that you showed was over towards games and library. So of course, Weibo are going to rotate players over there. They're going to be ready for your entry. And as you try to make that play, you're running into thorn traps, you're trying to push through smokes, you're running into those Denari trips too. I mean, it just feels like no matter where they tried to push from, Weibo were ready for it. They caught them off guard a little bit, and they weren't able to spot those players out. I want to see them running some more of these aggressive operators. If you're going to go for a roam clear like that, bring the right tools for the job and try to smoke those players in a man advantage.
Baron Gaming will be the site of choice for round 8. Weibo will be looking for just a complete defensive sweep here. Get it done. They've got Turd down in the basement on the Solis. I think we're going to see a consistent operator pick coming in from him on that operator, showing his prowess with it in that last round, getting himself a triple. I think it was by the time all was said and done. Oh no, it was a 4K actually from Turd. He's had 3 multi-kill rounds so far, by the way. 3K in round 1, 3K in round 4, 4K in round 7. Absolutely flying at the minute. 13-3. You know, we commented on Pasha back on Consulate. Turd has certainly stepped up and been that player for Weibo here on Chalet, and Gohan must be much happier with what he is seeing from his team as coach here. 5-2, 5 versus 5 still in the round. We've got 2 downstairs actually. Speakeasy's down here with Turd as well, and there's going to be nobody from VP pushing in that direction just yet.
I mean, it was the Solus played by Pasha that Turd did such a good job of taking out on the attacking side. And now that we swap on those sides, he's just going to take this tool for his own gathering. And we just don't see those same tools being brought by VP. They, again, don't have the Snake. They don't have the Dokkaebi. They don't have the Deimos. So it's going to be really hard to find Turd down there in the basement. Right now, a lot of the pressure is on this library side. So they're probably saying to themselves, we don't want a whole lot of map control. We're going to send Nako on his own. Not on a shield, by the way. Dan playing the shield this time instead. Nako's just going to be this one offsite player trying to find these guys down in the basement. It kind of takes him out of the action for the first minute and a half of this round.
Well, the thing is, they want to open up that storage wall. That's, you know, why they've come into basement, and that's why Turd was down there to begin with. He's long gone. You know, he's mostly given it up. He's just moved back down there now. He's kind of up and in between. He's going to go through and challenge them here, is Turd. He's moving into blue hallway. He's looking to see if he can get one. It's actually going to be Hoven that opens things up with a kill onto Pasha. 5 versus 4. But just his mere presence down there in basement has wasted 2 minutes. And before he can get involved in the action himself, his teammates have taken down the majority of Virtus.pro. Nitro over the top manages to find the down onto Dan. And that leaves us now with a flawless round as Turd picks up the final kill. And it's going to be 6-2 Weibo Gaming. And what a response to a 7-0. If they can come back with a 7-2 here, maybe not quite the same, but it still sends that message and it really cements them in this one. And we are screaming towards that best of one finish on Clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like map 1 where VP made it look easy. Right now, Weibo are making it very clear that there's a skill diff on Chalet. I love how mobile they're being on these defenses. They're being really reactive to where Virtus.pro are trying to push. That time around, it was clear. There was no pressure on the master side, nothing over towards Piano, so clearly it's just going to be a hop in towards the site. They get that pick over on the game's window on a couple of key players, including the Capitao. Once you start to lose those key pieces, it becomes really difficult to put that execute together. So we're just seeing some of that weakness, I think, from VP on a map like Chalet. They've lost it 5 times this season, Tim, without a win. This could be 0-6 for their record if they can't find some way to claw things back against Weibo. And just as we were kind of predicting in the map veto, once you get past map number 1, it's looking all Weibo all day.
Kitchen dining then. Let's see if Weibo can cook something up that will get this one over the line. 7-2, finish it out, and they can move on to Clubhouse. I think Virtus.pro will be grateful to see the back of Chalet with the way things have gone on here. Looking across those players that went so big on Consulate. 3 for Pasha, 3 for Nako, 3 for Dan. Really struggling to get themselves into this. Just not really cutting it as far as Chalet is concerned. So drones will go out. That is a big early pick up. I love that from Weibo, taking the fight to Virtus.pro. It's that man again. Turd picks it up. 15 so far. Can't get himself a 20 if they win it in this round. So look, you know, maybe that's a reason for Weibo to continue this one. Dan does get himself a double. Gotti and Turd taken down. Virtus.pro desperately needed that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It felt like this might have just been the end of the game if Turd has continued to put up kills like that. But Dan gives him a bit of a lifeline here now on Chalet. Plenty of work still to do, though. This is not an easy round. Keep in mind the bomb site is over towards Kitchen, so Virtus.pro are going to have to make their way through this map, and you see the threats that lurk all around. Hoven down towards that bottom floor, trying to make his way up the blue stairs to go for a flank. You've got different opportunities to punish these players. If they don't know where Hoven is at, this might be a disaster and a 7-2 win.
Yeah, I think they've got an idea. The pre-fire comes around as Pasha was looking in that direction. I thought it was actually the Blackbeard of Nako that they were going to send over to clear him, but as it was, Pasha was there a little bit closer. Speakeasy Reaps both playing up on that top floor now. They've set out their stall. This is going to be where they defend the rest of the round from. Just try and prevent any plant going down. But it should mean that Virtus.pro, should they want to, can get in there and find a little bit of space. Rorik has the fuser in hand, and he should be able to get it down with a little bit of safety from above. If they push at the same time, then they should be laughing. But at the minute, Virtus.pro, I think, just looking for kills and for forcing everybody back.
Yeah, they got time to play with, right? Yeah. So why not apply some pressure here on the top floor? If they do go for the execute, both of these roamers were up above. Reaps is going to fall back towards the site. Speakeasy is going to take a little bit more time to think about it. This Nitro cell could be a game changer, but it actually downs Pasha. He should get picked back up. I doubt they can confirm that kill, but even still, you're wasting a little bit more time off this clock. Opportunity for Weibo to clutch this one up. You're going to fall back towards that bomb site with Reaps and almost Speakeasy. He's over towards Master playing above the hatch. An opportunity now as the time gets low, but Virtus.pro, their pushes were great on Consulate. They need to channel that energy once again to keep this map alive.
Virtus.pro are taking care of business They're doing the fundamentals very well. They've got office wall open up, they've got fireplace wall opened up, so they can now think about getting in there behind that bomb chassis to put the diffuser down. But I tell you what, Reaps can actually burn away an awful lot of this time with the toxic babe canisters that he's got left, and it's forcing them now to rotate around and try and use the door instead. Reaps has been forced back, Speakeasy taken out. That should really be the end of the round now. Virtus.pro can get aggressive. They could call to go for kills while the plant goes down. They will indeed. Dan finds the long angle, and that's going to be a third round for Virtus.pro. It's still a long road back, but that's the first step.
Dan with the DMR has been kind of the only slice of life for Virtus.pro in this game. It was back in round 5 when he got those big picks playing on the Arunian side of Library. Now on the Lion, he's able to find some really important frags as well here on the top floor. And this is the win con on Chalet, right? You have to win your early game. You've got to be able to use these outdoor windows to your advantage. It's so easy as an attacking team to hold your cutoffs on this map, to catch these players as they go for rotations. Virtus.pro have not been forcing enough movement out of Weibo so far this game. They finally get a couple of picks. They take that man advantage. They isolate some fights on this roam game, and they manage to walk away with a victory. There's still a long road ahead of them. I really do favor Weibo to close this one out sooner rather than later, but if VP can continue to channel that, find those opening gunfights, take out players while they're still outside the building, there's a path to victory here, however slim it may be.
I think a big thing for Virtus.pro here is not losing that entry death. We talk about it a lot. Last 3 have all gone to Weibo, and that's all of the attacking rounds so far for VP. They've been losing out and, suffering at the beginning of the rounds. So we need something a little bit better from them here in round 10. Make sure that they're on top of that. The bans that have come in, the Mute and the Deimos taken away. Going to mix things up a little bit. We're going to see Pasha bringing along the Zofia this time around for this top floor attack. Don't know that there's going to be much of an opportunity to get underneath, but we will see. It's Turd who's down there at the minute on the Ella.
I mean, this is the problem, right? We saw Turd doing a great job on the offensive side, clearing out those players below site. Whether it was on the Snake, whether it was on the Deimos, Turd was such a good player on Weibo to be able to get that opening pick and give them the advantage. VP, they've got tools if they get that vert control down below the bomb site, but actually taking it for themselves is going to be a little bit more awkward. Turd's playing in that dining position. Of course, they've got a couple other players roaming around here on the bottom floor as well. Reaps is over towards Games there on the smoke. So finding these players' positions before you go for your execute is going to be absolutely critical. It does look like VP are going to go for a solar side take. Figuring out that library push they went for back in round 7 was not really good enough. So I like this pivot coming through from VP. It's a new strategy being shown by them, but plan A has to be take down Turd. If you can't do that cleanly, this push is going to fall apart.
Interesting use of the Zelma. Clear away the barbed wire underneath the window. That's going to give you a little bit of a safer entry there. Not seen that one before, but makes perfect sense. They get the open up through into the master bedroom, but it starts falling apart as 3 kills come in, all for Weibo. Hoven managing to find the latest of them, and it certainly looks like their work is cut out for them now. We saw them do it a couple of times previously, but the ask gets bigger and bigger as Hoven takes down Rorik. It is now all up to Pasha. If there is one man in all the siege that you want in a 1v5, I would argue Pasha might just be that person, but it's still going to be a huge ask. He's trying to battle from the solar windows. Weibo know exactly where he is. He does have a little bit of time on his side. Manages to get the first of 5, taking down Turd, who, unsurprisingly, was the most aggressive out of the Weibo players. Right up to the window to have a look. 1 minute 10 left to go. I think Pasha thinks about changing it up a little bit, but then just goes back to his same old spot.
If Pasha wins this, Weibo do not deserve to be alive in this tournament. I mean, this would be a massive throw coming out from the APL team. They have every advantage in the world with Pasha not even in the building. The second they hear this repel, they should be able to shut him down and take the 7-3 victory. This map has been just a bloodbath, all favoring Weibo. Turd's done so much. Here's the final kill. Perfectly done by Reaps, and that will be a 1-1 series here at the Esports World Cup. Such a dominant performance from Weibo to answer back that performance on Consulate.
Who continues in the tournament? Who's eligible for club championship points? And who gets their key crushed here? Clubhouse is our final map.
Thank you, Ant. We will get this one underway. It is Virtus.pro versus Weibo Gaming, and we have seen 2 very quick maps so far. It has been 7-0, 7-2 as we load into Clubhouse. Winner takes all, loser sees their key crushed. It's all on the line, Jesse.
Has to come down to this one, and we talked about it a little bit before this game began, Tim, but I'm going to reiterate myself one more time. This is not a map where VP have found a lot of success. You mentioned their struggles on the defensive side so far this season. They've got 2 wins, 4 losses. More even than Chalet for sure, but still a map where Virtus.pro have shown some weaknesses. Weibo, this is a rare map for them. They've only played it twice this season, but across both of those 2 plays, they've dropped just a single round. 7-1 and a 7-0 yesterday versus Enterprise. The odds are stacked against Virtus.pro. They have to dig deep on this first half to walk away with the victory.
Well, my head called Weibo, my heart called Virtus.pro, and right now it seems like the head could be winning. We will see. I'm going to give you a little spoiler warning. We know how things have gone on the A stream. It might be a little bit of a surprise to you. That's certainly a long enough delay from me after the spoiler warning to tell you that Falcons are out. Secret, yes, they have got the win. They have closed it out. Falcons will be eliminated before the top 8. Important in the club championship stakes as well, of course. We just saw Falcons today drop down into 2nd, overtaken by All Gamers, and their siege roster is not going to be making the top 8. Team Secret tweeted this morning saying that they had the chance to do the funniest thing ever, and they've only just gone and done it.
My God, that is a huge story. That means the only teams guaranteed top 8 from EML this event are going to be Team Secret and GK, the best 2 teams from Europe, as we've all been saying for months. So not a result maybe that everybody would have been expecting, but still crazy to see that coming through. One more EML team having the opportunity to do so will be Virtus.pro. Fnatic playing later today up against Furia as well. But for VP, it's all going to come down to this map. It's all going to start here on the defense. And we're starting in the basement, Tim, with a full bunker setup. I don't expect too much action through the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, what started out as a very good day for EU with 4 teams possibly going through to the quarterfinals today might end a very bad day. We will see how it goes, one after another. Certainly possible of being eliminated. Drone goes over, gets caught in the mute jammer. We're going to have Speakeasy looking to move down blue stairs. It is a Church and Arsenal defense. Our bans, nothing to write home about there. The Electro Bros, Kaid and Bandit taken away, 2 of the hard breaches to Martinez, and that's going to leave us still 5 versus 5 at the halfway mark. Weibo in charge of the map and just trying to break down that side.
And this is what we talked about before this game began, Tim. Turd is one of the best Snake players in the world. Don't give them the opportunity to get these picks early in the round. VP have played this very passive so far. I like that. They're trying to force Weibo to go for some kind of an execute. They've got basically everything open that they could want right now. They've got a little bit of pressure going over towards the stock side. They've got some players hunting around that main stairs. Could be an armory push where they eventually want to end this, but they've got Moto opened up too. So they're not making this easy to read on the side of Virtus.pro. It looks like with 60 seconds to go, they're moving this defuse kit kind of towards kitchen, kind of towards down those main stairs, but it's really going to be a case of how do VP stop this when they get in through those main stairs, when they get inside of armory and try to put it on the floor.
Absolute ton of utility available for Virtus.pro. 3 nitros, and that's 1 nitro used, 1 kill gained. That's going to be the Blackbeard taken down. It's going to be Gotti who is now in charge of the diffuser and will be the one looking towards dropping and planting. Where will that come? Time will tell. 25 seconds left to go. Church and Arsenal is notoriously a site that you can get a lot done in a short space of time, but it's only going to be Pasha getting anything done right now. Make that a triple kill in the round so far. Sitting holding dirt is not going to do you any favours. Gotti, Dan manages to take down Hoven. 5 versus 1. Gotti makes sure it's not a flawless round. Pasha makes sure it is a 4K. Picks up that last kill. Solid defence of Church and Arsenal. Exactly what you asked for, Jesse, and they delivered. Just burnt away time. Let Weibo have the map. Let them play the game. Don't give them the gunfights on defence and force the execute. It didn't work out for them. Virtus.pro 1-0.
And I think that round is a really good example of the mind games that sometimes get played in the prep phase, Tim, because VP, they kind of pretended like they were going to go for a roam game there. You saw Dan setting up some barricades on the mid floor. You saw Nako putting some mute jammers up around the top floor. And Weibo, they saw those mute jammers, they saw the players extending up above, and they thought to themselves, this is going to be a roam. This is going to be Virtus.pro taking that map control, trying to hold on to it. So they brought the Deimos coming through from Hoven, they brought the Snake from Turd, and they brought 0 soft breach. What that meant is once they were given that space for free, The Snake is a whole lot less valuable. The Deimos is a whole lot less valuable. And you can't do a whole lot with that verticality. They weren't able to make good breach over towards kitchen side. They weren't able to breach much of the hallway. So it just ended up being really difficult to get themselves down and towards the site. I think VP playing really good mind games there in Weibo. A bad read on what Virtus.pro were trying to do in the first round.
Second round is going to be gym and bedroom defense here for Virtus.pro. If you recall at the beginning, I called out Virtus.pro and how poor their attacks on Clubhouse have been previously. So going off those historic numbers, they need to be having a good first half here. They need to get themselves as many rounds as they can while they're on the defense, make things a little bit easier for them when they get to that second half. As it is, we're going to have the Hibana going straight in, looking to get the breach onto that CCTV wall. Just put a little bit of sort of micro pressure onto CCTV, prevent the defenders from playing quite that deep, and look to force them back to cash before you then move them through to construction and beyond.
Yeah, VP, it's going to be Dan and Pasha locking things down here on the cash side. They're going to be trying to hold on to top red and that cash position. Hoven's doing a really good job of pressuring construction right now, so this is going to be a bit of a pinch coming forward onto VP. Often that would force these players to back up, but because you've got Pasha on this clash, it does kind of allow you to slow things down a little bit. You don't have to give up the map control as early as you otherwise would. Just as we hit that 60-second mark deep into the round, they are all going to fall back towards the site. So once again, Tim, for the second round in a row, you're not seeing Virtus.pro commit to these early gunfights. Turds below waiting to stun somebody. They left this part of the map 20 seconds ago. They're no longer holding on to cash, and it's taking Weibo a little bit of extra time to figure that one out. They'll take the space now, recognizing with their drones that it has been fully given up, but this is exactly how VP should be trying to win this game. It's slowing things down and not giving any opportunities early for Weibo to eat that man advantage.
Yeah, Weibo getting caught in a little bit of indecision, I think, at the minute, just stalling out, and they just need somebody to push that impetus and start moving them forward. It's going to be Reaps by the looks of things, who wants to get himself on into construction, but again, there just seems to be a bit of a hold up here for Weibo. They're now finally starting to use those windows into sight. They have control of CCTV, so there's no danger for them. They can get on there. Speakeasy is back on the drones. There's a minute left to go, and they're still not pressuring anybody on the side of Virtus.pro.
Kurt's job is to destroy this clash shield right now, Tim. They can go down below and try to destroy it with those impacts. There's 60 seconds still left in this round. Pasha's completely given up his shield. He's left it in Master to go hold here inside of Logi. It's Dan who's actually playing behind that shield at the moment, so there's going to be different opportunities to try to force these players out. Turd needs to get value out of this utility before they execute.
Skies picks up Gotti, another one as they go in through the window. It's Dan taking down Speakeasy, 5 versus 2, as Skies is there for another. Virtus.pro have just collapsed beautifully. Turd was unable to get any of that value downstairs. Flawless round. Rorik with a beautiful final kill. Pre-fire around the corner on the main stairs, and Weibo there just seemed to be victims of themselves. They held themselves up for so long. Drawn in, checking, clearing, drawn in, checking, clearing, never pressuring. They had CCTV. Where was the player on the windows? Speakeasy was hidden in a corner, drawn in for about a minute of it. They could have been on there, could have been on the windows, making it difficult for the defenders inside of sight, but instead they just got lost in the sauce.
Early tac timeout being called by Weibo here. Both of the Brazilian coaches of these EML and APL teams will have a chance to talk to their teammates, and I think Gohan just recognizing that so far Virtus.pro are playing a really passive style of Siege. They're not going for these early gunfights. They're giving up a lot of map control to Weibo, so they need to start taking this. You're right, it's taking a bit of time to come through. It's been a bit slow. I don't even mind if it takes them a minute and a half or 2 minutes to get that space, but they have to find some way to work themselves in towards that execute. Turd down below did really nothing on the Zofia. If he's able to get a free pick onto somebody, destroy the clash shield, do something, you see right down there inside of Gym, that's where he used his explosives, but there was nobody playing in that position. The Azami was already somewhere else, so it just felt like they didn't quite have the coordination when going for that execute. VP's game plan has been telegraphed very obviously through 2 rounds. Weibo need to be able to respond.
Yeah, this is now you can be forgiven for the first couple of rounds. You're trying to figuring it out. Like you said, it's very, very clear how they're set up to play. So now, Weibo, there's no excuses. Once they've had that time with the coach, once they've had that discussion. And I agree with you. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of caution when taking that space. Virtus.pro are a team where if you overlook Pasha, you're going to find yourself with 2 or 3 dead very, very quickly. So there is nothing wrong with applying that little bit of caution to take the space. My problem here is once they have that space, there is a huge lag between them getting it and doing something with it. And that was the point. They had that base of operations inside of cache, inside of construction, on the windows for the longest time. And I'm going to bring it out, Jesse. The botherometer is here. How bothered were Virtus.pro? Not at all. Nope. Not until the final 10-15 seconds, and then they were just picking up kills because what choice then do Weibo have other than throw themselves through windows to try and get on in? So yeah, be cautious, no problem, but once you've got the ground, have the confidence to use it and push forward.
Name of the game for round number 3, team, is going to be Rafters. It's all about killing skies as quickly as possible for Weibo Gaming. He's playing up in this position behind the Kiba barriers. Nako is quite close as well with these Wamai gadgets. You see him at the top of the red stairs. He can use his utility to help him out. Weibo have their own good utility, though. They've got the Capitao from Hoven. They've got the Monty from Speakeasy. They've got the correct tools to try to take this space. It's going to be a real battle between who can apply that pressure the best and who can take the space for now. Good work so far in the main breach, but this is usually not enough to go for an execute. You typically need either construction control before you go for your execute or Rafters control. And there's no doubt with the lineup that Weibo have brought that Rafters will be the goal.
Guys is going to be the one tasked with holding on. He's got everything he needs, realistically. He's got Wamai magnets, he's got the Kiba barricades. There might even be a Razor Bloom or 2 knocking about, but we are seeing a better attempt here. We've seen a couple of wobbly attempts, to be honest, to clear Rafters over the last few days, but Weibo here are doing everything right. They've cleared the stairs out with the Rotero drones. They've got the breach underneath from the Capitao, so he should be able to go in and fire off pretty easily. This is good stuff. They just need to get these Wamai magnets dealt with. That's going to be the next big key task. But Speakeasy up at the top of there, that's going to make it difficult for Skies now to stay in position. We can see that utility starting to come in. He's had to be pushed forward. He's got to fight. Wow. Surely he dies here. I don't know how Skies is surviving. That's going to be the end of that. 4 versus 4, but they did lose Reaps along the way. Yeah, you get a kill, you waste 2 minutes. That's fine for Skies. It's not round winning. It's not free from this point forward, but you've set your team up into a good position. 3 Toxic Babes from Pasha, a Nitro Cell on both Nako and Rorik. There are so many ways to deny this plant. If Weibo Gaming go for an execute just inside the garage, trying to plant default on the B bomb chassis, it's probably not going to work. So I want to see them go deep here on the side of Weibo, trying to push in towards cache, force these players out of position and make them uncomfortable. They have to have that aggression if they want any chance of winning this round. Concern at the minute from VP's perspective is where the Nitros are going to be delivered from. They don't have anybody underneath in lounge, so if they want to do that, it's going to have to be a vertical throw over the top of the wall. The diffuser starts going down. Gotti has done it right on the thresholder's side. Rorik does manage to get a Nitro kill, but it goes into the wrong place. Gotti is going to move inside now, go for the plant. Nako was down, so he can't use his Nitro. They try to do a little rotate through the windows. It doesn't work out. Weibo have been better on the execute this time. That ground that they took, they used it, and they used it quickly. They used it well. They get the diffuser down. We're now in a 1 versus 3 effectively. No option but to go for the kills. Turd takes both down. One with a phone call, one with the gun, and that's going to be Weibo grabbing their first round. But yes, much, much better, Jesse. As soon as they had that control in Rafters, what happened? Hoven straight in, up there with the secondary hard breach, got the wall open, saw that they had that choice of moving in. They then, 10, 20 seconds later, were trying for a plant on the threshold of the breach. It didn't work out. They had to adapt, they had to change, but because they were already in the process, they just needed to keep on rolling. Much better. I think the MVP for me there's got to be Speakeasy. I love how aggressive he went with the shield. He almost forced VP to get panicky a little bit there in the execute. You saw them tossing those Toxic Babes really early. Pasha used all of them quite quickly, but Speakeasy never had the defuse kit. He was never the real pressure that they were worried about. Instead, it was Gotti who got in that main breach, started to work on a bit of a plant. I liked Rorik's position. The fact that he jumped out the con window to then pressure the CC window and have that impact on the round. Rorik did everything right in that one, but it just wasn't quite enough as the rest of VP were a little bit scrambly. I thought Turd played really well outside of the main breach, just covering for his teammates, making sure nobody had a good cross in the midst of that. And Weibo, they caused enough chaos in that late round that VP don't exactly know what's going on. That kind of needs to be more of the game plan, right? Make sure that you're causing that chaos for Virtus.pro. Don't telegraph your pushes and set yourself up with strong execute utility, because they didn't have that in the first 2 rounds.
10 seconds remaining.
Round 4, we'll see us back down to Church and Arsenal. Mirror and Grim have been taken away. We saw Pasha have a great 4K on the Mirror previously when they were down here on the basement site, so they're going to want to avoid that. Looks like Virtus.pro just going to play a little bit more of a map presence here. Neko and Pasha both up on that top floor this time around. Last time it was passive. I wonder here whether Virtus.pro are now changing up the game plan. They've played the passive play. They've allowed Gohan the tactical timeout. He's come out and said, right, this is how we need to shape up against this. So now Virtus.pro, they move on to the next iteration of their defense on Clubhouse and get a little bit more aggressive out in the map.
Definitely. They've got a little bit of drone work happening up at the top floor here, and you're right, Tim. It is more aggressive from Virtus.pro this time around. Neko is the man I'm watching for, the head captain of VP, trying to make something happen on the roam game. Because of the castle barricades that they've got, it's going to be a little bit awkward to get back in the site while still keeping Neko relatively safe here around the strip side of the map. He's got teammates with him. Dan inside a bar will start to help out with this rotate back. Because they've got these Denari tripwires on the church hatch, they can leave it open. It's a safe escape from the attacker or for the defenders, but there's no way for Weibo to actually take that space. So again, pretty passive at the end of it. They're not going to take these gunfights. They're not going to allow Turd and Hoven in for these opening kills, and they're going to force Weibo to execute.
Pasha's going to sit in garage for the time being. The scan does come in onto him, but it doesn't really matter. It's not going to back him up, and he will just hold his position for the time being because he knows that he's a nuisance for them. This could be smart from Rorik. He's actually gone up and kind of traded places.
Wow.
Manages to get a beautiful opener. He couldn't have picked it better. It's the Blackbeard taken down. What a great start for Virtus.pro. Minute 30 left on the clock. Weibo haven't really done anything about site utility yet.
The decision-making from Rorik has been so good these last couple of rounds, Tim. He's still a rookie here playing his first season of the EML and now with the Esports World Cup. Been very impressed with how well he's been able to do for Virtus.pro, but now it's all about stopping this aggression, making sure that Weibo don't have that ability to execute. My eyes are all on Reaps. He's the guy with those candelas. He's going to be applying the pressure over towards Moto Hatch. They need to be able to stand up and stop him from getting value, because if he blinds everyone in the site, it doesn't matter if you got the man advantage.
Getting pinged out at the bottom of main stairs, so Neko just needs to be a little bit cautious here. They are aware of his position. The scan will come in as well, but as he runs through a jammer, that's just going to remove it for the time being. I tell you what, he's not giving this up. Bullets keep raining down around him, but he does not want to back away. He's going to be forced eventually. 35 seconds left to go here, and again, you just feel like Weibo haven't quite done enough at this point, but if there's any site you can get away with it, it will be this one. The drop comes in. Pasha manages to pick up Hoven. There was Candelas available. They didn't use them, and they've paid the price. Dan picks up Reaps as well. Turd works his way in though, works a bit of magic but can't do enough. Neko manages to get the trade. 2 versus 1, it's all up to Gotti. 10 seconds, doesn't have the diffuser, so he's going to have to play for the kills here. Knows there's one inside of Blue, knows there's one inside of Moto. Nothing he can do. Moves into the crossfire, Skies picks him up, and Virtus.pro take themselves another round. It's 3-1.
Again, you're seeing the impact of that lack of soft breach. No ram being brought, no buck, no sledge, no breaching charges even to put on the floorboards and try to open things up. So you're seeing VP able to exist inside the site with very little pressure. Neko spent ages at the bottom of main stairs just wasting time because there was no vert pressure above him. And they had the Moto Hatch, of course, covered by those Denari traps. So it just felt like at all opportunities, Weibo didn't have a good way to actually apply pressure in towards the site. I said Reaps on the Ying might be the one thing that they have to try to work themselves in an advantage, but then Hoven just goes and drops before the Candelas. Is a little bit miscoordinated on the side of Weibo, and because of that, their bottom floor executes have just been really weak so far today on Clubhouse. Gets VP up into a 3-1 lead. Tim certainly feeling comfortable early on in this match, but you said it, the attacking half is really going to be where we see Virtus.pro struggle, so they have to kind of rack up the rounds in the first half.
Round 5 will see us back in gym and bedroom. The cycle will continue, and Virtus.pro will go to CCTV and cash in round 6, I would imagine. This time, Weibo need to do more with what they take and what they are given. Last time around, when we saw them attacking this site, this was the one where we were critical of how they got themselves a great base, a great foundation, and didn't really do too much with it. Didn't work the windows into site. Didn't really pressure anybody on the side of Virtus.pro that was playing in logistics, in gym, in bedroom, and they have to do better with that. The first half of the round can be pretty much the same as it was last time. They actually dealt with the layering and the extension really, really well. They just need to, once they've got that ground, don't lose the aggression, don't take the foot off the gas.
I'd kind of like to see them go even faster than last time, Tim, because it's just Pasha actually extending here on the cash side. Dan will come to join him now that they realize there is some bit of a garage pressure coming through. No clash this time either. Pasha's moved over to the Warden, I think reading into that Ying play that Reaps was running in the last round, expecting a bit more of that, knowing that Zofia down below from Turd is a great counter to the clash. So they're going to try to hold on to this for as long as they can, waste about a minute and a half before they go for their leave. But so far, Weibo, they haven't been able to apply enough of that pressure to force these guys out. I'm still watching for Turd. He has to be the guy to apply pressure from down below as the Monty pushes in horizontally.
Yeah, as you said, just a little bit slow at the minute. Speakeasy going to take a reasonable amount of damage there from the Nitro. Another one comes out, more damage done, and that causes him a little bit of a problem because there is still a Nitro on the side of Virtus.pro. There is also no Turd on the side of Weibo anymore. As the Sophia gets taken down, there will be no pressure from underneath. Look at the damage done to Pasha. They've decided that he's going to play his life here, I think. Or does he try to escape? Does he get away with it? I think he wriggles away underneath, and that is great play from Pasha. He hasn't gone back to site though. He looks for the vertical, and look who he gets. He takes down the Monty. Brilliant play from Pasha.
Doesn't get better than that, so we're just kind of sending it in sight. That's the call from Weibo, but they're losing a couple of bodies as they do this. Reaps and Gotti, they've got a little bit of space here with a player inside of Jim. This is a big problem for Virtus.pro, Tim. They don't necessarily have a way to cleanse it back, but Nako hits a nice shot onto Reaps. Gotti nowhere near enough to assist, and a very difficult 1v3 Sig in front of him.
Gotti just trying to at least get established inside a site for the time being. Flips to the secondary, but they are all around him at this point. Rorik picks up the last one. 4-1. Virtus.pro looking good. I said that they needed a good start here. Their attacking stats do not back up a strong second half for them, but this is exactly what they needed. If they can get a 5-1 half, that is absolutely perfect for them, because then all they need to do is win the weakest of Weibo's sites.
I want to continue to give praise to Rorik, Tim. He's not getting big multi-kills in a lot of these rounds, but I just feel like his decision-making is so good. Consistently, round after round after round, he's making the plays that are needed by his team. That time, it was early going down below, punishing Turd on that Zofia, getting the opening pick. It wasn't crazy aim or anything by his metrics, but still, it's just the right spot at the right time where he's able to insert himself and disrupt this push coming through from Weibo. I think Rorik has been absolutely phenomenal now. 6-3 coming in through this game. The 24-year-old rookie who's been grinding Tier 2 for the last 5 years before getting picked up by VP at the start of the season, really starting to have an impact here at the Esports World Cup and sending VP into a dominating position, one round away from a 5-1 half.
Can Weibo do anything about it? Can they have a final say? Honestly, I think if they come away with a 2-4, it's a bit of a steal. I think they've done all right out of that, considering how the play's gone.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, Virtus.pro, I think, have come in with a game plan. They've executed it very, very well. They've frustrated Weibo, and 2-4 wouldn't actually be looking too bad when they get themselves onto the defense. I think what we're seeing here a little bit as well is, obviously, you know, we came in, Weibo's record on Clubhouse is not bad. 2 wins, only 1 round loss, but you've got to look, and it's not to disparage anybody, but you've got to look at the difference in the level of opponent that you're playing. You know, yes, Enterprise are a good team, Daystar are a good team, but Virtus.pro, at the minute, for me, are a top 4 or 5 team in the world, and you're just operating on a different level right now.
This is going to be almost identical to round 3, Tim. The strategies from both VP and Weibo are very similar, which means it's going to start inside of Raptors. It's going to be all on Skies. How many kills can he get? How much time can he waste from this Raptors position? Skies is going to die, almost guaranteed, unless things go horribly wrong for Weibo, because they've got the Capitao, they've got the Monty. But how much damage can you deal before they start taking this space? And then when we get down to the execute, I want to see them playing their utility. You've got Nitros, you've got Smokes. That has to be the name of the game for VP.
Because he's just going to take a little bit of damage off the barbed wire there. He knew that that would be the case. Needs to be careful. Skies was just having a look at him there, but ultimately it's Speakeasy that comes away with the kill. This is a great start from Weibo. We saw this last time around. Very, very capable at taking over Catwalk. Only a minute 30 into the round, so they've got plenty of time. They need to get somebody up there with this. It's not going to be the secondary hard breach. It's going to have to be Gotti, but he doesn't have any pellets left. They're not going to be able to breach that garage wall.
Yeah, I mean, the garage wall being closed is a little bit scary for sure. It means that you have to jump in through that window if you want any hope of trying to make your way forward. So that is a good point being brought up. I'm still worried about the time that's being left on from Weibo. Last time they had a much more dominant position inside of the garage. Sky's getting a kill and wasting a bit more time. Without that, you really do rely on some aggressive plays coming out. That's exactly what Rorik is trying to do down here on the bottom floor.
Well, one of the big problems was that they're starting to see it already. Because they can't get that wall open, Dan can actually play on Castor and push into site, so he can get aggressive. We've got a little flank here as well. There's a little bit of a standoff because they are aware of the position. A couple of kills come in. That's going to open things up for Weibo. They've desperately needed that. However, Dan over the head of that shield does get one. Nako onto Speakeasy. 3 versus 2. Virtus.pro fighting back, but the diffuser is going down. Can they get in there? They need to get aggressive. Reaps manages to find the kill though. The secondary just couldn't get the job done. A kill from above. Reaps just finds a way. They had to brute force their way into site there without that hard breach option, but Weibo still get it done. I said 2-4 would be a steal, and they've just completed a little bit of a heist.
You know what, though? That was the cleanest round we've seen so far from Weibo. By far the most impressive I think they've looked. I do think they earned this 4-2 split. Their attacks in through Raptors looked really good together. I think Speakeasy deserves a ton of credit. IGL on that. Monty just takes the pistol out, finds that opening frag onto Skies playing in the Raptors position. And then, I mean, you mentioned it, Reaps finding those gaps as they push on through. The fact they didn't get the Raptors wall open sucks. But they were so, I think, worried about the position that they gave up early on the side of VP. They were going for those aggressive moves. They tried to retake down below. Again, Rorik, I want to continue to highlight this guy. I think he's making really smart decisions. His position down inside of Lounge, if he had won that fight up against, I believe it was Turd, could have absolutely changed the course of that round, but he ends up losing it. So those gunfights that don't really go VP's way. And they only get a 4-2 split coming through this first half when a 5-1 was on the board. To me, this feels like a dead-even game, Tim. I know the scoreboard favors VP a little bit, but Weibo have not put themselves in a bad position. If they can have some strong defenses on Clubhouse, this is absolutely theirs for the taking.
It is winnable. It is winnable for Weibo. My head at the minute is already starting to think about a word, Jesse. It begins with O, it ends in E, and we all know what it is. I think we could be heading for a few more rounds of this, if I'm honest.
Yep.
It wouldn't surprise me at all to see Virtus.pro do exactly the same. Just pick up that weak side, you know, get a couple of rounds there, but maybe struggle on the others. What I would say is watch very closely here. Virtus.pro fans, get excited if they win one of the first 2 sites. If they can pick up, I imagine it will be Gym Bedroom, Church and Arsenal. If they can pick up one of those 2 sites, and then they grab a CCTV, that's your moment to get excited. That's when Virtus.pro could be heading into the quarterfinals. But that is a big, big if, because Weibo, I think, are going to make that very difficult.
Weibo need to hold on to at least 2 bomb sites here, right? That's what VP did. They won Basement twice. They won Gym Bedroom twice. Weibo needs to do the same thing. If they can do just that, they'll force what you're talking about, extra innings here at the end of the game. And if we get to that point, they should be defending first. Weibo will have the choice on which side they want to go. They probably will have chosen defense. I can't confirm that 100%, but you'd have to imagine that's where Weibo want to take this. And I think they'd have the edge if they do get defense in overtime, because we have 2 4-2 splits. So we'll see. We're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. You got to get to OT first, Tim, and that's going to be the name of the game for Weibo. Very common bans coming out. This should be the Demos being paired with the Monty. Fair enough. Going to provide some of that vert pressure off the board. You will leave the Blackbeard and the Blitz open for Nako to play. You will also leave all of those breachers open for VP to try to start getting these walls.
That's the other thing that I would say there, Jesse, is, you know, there's another angle to this. And yes, it's going to be close, but you said it yourself there. Weibo have got to get those rounds on the board. And I would always, if I have to choose, favour the person who already has the numbers on the board. They're the ones that count. We can talk about the rounds that might come. We can talk about the rounds that might happen. But Virtus.pro are the ones with the scores on the doors at the minute. 4-2, they go into the second half. This is a big swing round. This is a big, big swing round. If Virtus.pro come away with an initial attack that wins them this and they get 3 rounds ahead, it's panic stations for Weibo.
And I think here's the key thing to worry about for this second half, Tim, is that Virtus.pro have been the better team for late round 5v5 executes. On all 3 maps, that's really been their strongest point. Weibo have been the better team in the early round when they can isolate picks, when they can work the man advantage, when they can get Turd and Hoven into these aggressive positions where they find these opening frags. And when you are on the defensive side of Clubhouse, you can, especially on this bottom floor, dictate which of those two styles of game come through. Because while VP, they went for full anchor setups here on the bottom floor, Weibo are completely changing the script. They're going very aggressive with Turd playing inside a bedroom, with of course that Raptors position being held by Hoven, with some players inside a bar as well. That's going to be Reaps locking things down there on the mid floor. So there's a lot of individuals that Virtus.pro will have to clear out, and so far that's been a big issue where they just haven't been able to coordinate and find those individuals.
Yeah, I think that was, you know, as I said at the beginning of the game, thinking about VP's attack, that's what I'd be looking to do here. Find Turd, section him off, and just get him out of the game. Because this isn't a case. In the defensive half, they played it perfectly. You can force him into the execute, don't engage with him, and it nullifies him a little bit. He's only got 4 kills, he's been a little bit quiet, but this is now the time where you have to take, you know, that lead. You've got to take the action to go in and deal with him, because otherwise, if you try and ignore him now when he's on the defense, he can run all over the map, he can run all over you, and he's going to be a big problem. So let's see how Virtus.pro deal with him.
Hoven's been cleared out, but he's actually just teleported back up to bathroom with this Scopos utility, so he's actually got a really good position to have this 3-man roam over the top floor alongside Gotti and Turd. You've got Rorikin down below, but this might be caught. Might be a bit of a bait as Reaps is here in the position and he finds him through the wall. That's a massive opening pick from Reaps, and again, it's those opening 1v1 duels where Weibo finds so much success.
Yeah, had a great idea of where he was. Sprays through the soft wall, finds his man, and they continue battling on the top floor. Gotti will be cut down though. Dan manages to find him. Do they know that there's a second? I'm not sure they're aware that the Scorpos is here. It's going to be a freebie onto Dan. Pasha finds Turd. This is becoming a real war of attrition right now as they take the challenge into the shower cubicle. Pasha picks up the kill. 3 versus 2. A minute left on the clock, and now both defenders back in sight. VP need to get moving.
Is this enough? That's the big question, Tim. You've destroyed the soft breachers, you've destroyed Rourke on this Dokkaebi, you've got a 2v3 that favors Virtus.pro in the man count, but listen, the time is going to start ticking pretty low, and you've got that defender advantage on the side of Weibo Gaming. Are you going to be able to stall out this push? Because VP, they committed everything to that roam game, and it came out on top, but it's not clean. They don't have the 5v5 execute that they would have been looking for.
They do also have to worry about Reaps on the other side with the Solus, with the scanner that will be able to see that plant going down. Nako, low health. Pasha with some chip damage. It's all stacked in the favour of VP as Skies manages to get the kill onto the Solus though. That leaves Speakeasy all alone. He's got the TCSG, comes around the corner, gets the opportunity. Siege timing at its finest, can't find the second though. Nako with the kill, and a swing round is won by Virtus.pro. They go 3 rounds up, they take a primary site, and they might just have taken 1 step into the quarter-final here at the Esports World Cup.
Virtus.pro just did something they were completely unable to do on really either of the first 2 maps, Tim, and that's win in the early game. That's get the man advantage on the roam clear. Back on Chalet, it was a disaster with Turd running circles around Virtus.pro, Hoven ratting in certain positions, Reaps getting aggressive in certain moments, be able to take that man advantage and give it to Weibo round after round after round. And even on Consulate, frankly, Virtus.pro were not getting man count leads early on that map. They had some insane executes, so it was totally fine. But now for the first time in this series, Virtus.pro have made it easy on themselves. They've given themselves that lead. They spotted out Hoven, Gotti, and Turd, the triple man roam up on that top floor. It was so aggressive from Weibo, and I think that was the right call, but you challenge VP to do something they've never been able to do in this series, and they just did it. Weibo are in big trouble.
That's it, you know, for me, exactly what VP needed to do. Recognize where those players are. Don't play shy, don't play timid, back yourself. I said send in Dan, Rorik, Pasha. I'm saying the names. Yeah. What a front line to be set. You know, you should be backing that front line against anybody in the world. You send them in and you say, you know what, go and get them. Go and get them and take them out of the game. And it worked brilliantly. Whether it will continue to do so or not, we will see. I think we've got... I notice here in Weibo a little bit of a shift in the energy after that round. There was all smiles, a lot of laughing, a lot of energy coming into the club. Now that they've just lost that swing round and they're 5-2 down, there was a couple of deep breaths taken, let me put it that way. And I think they need to make sure that they're not getting into their heads about this and that they continue playing the game that they've shown us on defense.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but I believe Weibo, they used their TAC timeout after 2 rounds going on to that first half. So this is not a TAC timeout from Weibo like you might expect, like they probably would like to have in front of them. Instead, we've got a slight tech issue coming through here, but that means that the players aren't really going to be able to talk amongst themselves to discuss the strategy and how to bounce things back. VP could use their TAC timeout, but I cannot imagine they give Weibo that opportunity to get back inside of the game. You do need to start thinking to yourselves, even if it's just in your own head, you know, we lost that first round playing aggressive. Is it time to double down on that strategy? Do we just need to trust in our guns to play better on these trades, to have Turd popping off on this aggressive play, to have Reaps popping off on these aggressive positions? Or do we just try to do what VP did and bunker down inside the site? I don't think it's an easy decision. I wouldn't want to have to make it. Thankfully, I don't. But that call has to be made on the side of Weibo, and it's got to be made sooner rather than later.
I'm honestly not sure that hunkering down is something they would get away with against VP.
Yeah, I agree.
I think, you know, VP, I know I've already said, and I will, you know, back up what I've said, they're not the best attacking team on Clubhouse, but in general, I do, you know, we saw it on Consulate. When they get into that rhythm, when they get, you know, they will find a way to crack you apart when they're on the attack. Even if it comes down to the last 10-15 seconds, they will find a way and they will get it done. They will, you know, they don't need a lot of space to execute, don't VP. They will hold the cover so well. So I think that I agree. Weibo are facing a very, very difficult call right now. They have to make it without the input of the coach. Gohan does not have the opportunity to speak to them. It's going to have to come from the IGL. It's going to have to be a call from within the team to say, this is how we're going to play this. This is any change that we're going to make. I personally think that Weibo will continue in doing what Weibo do. And I think that's what they should do. They should be backing Hoven, Gotte, Turd to go in and get those kills for them. Look, it may work out that it's not possible. Like I've said, you're going up against a hell of a front line from VP. But I think you play your game, and if you have to lose, you lose on your terms. Sure. Don't switch it up and try and do something else, and then ask yourself the question, should we have done that? I think play to your strengths, back your players, back your aggression, see if you can take the fight to them.
Silver lining here, Tim. I still back myself saying that Weibo need to win 2 bomb sites consistently here on the second half. They lost their first, but they've got 2 more chances, right? If they can bunker down on the top floor, make sure they win these CC defenses, the gym bedroom defenses, it's okay if they do lose that bottom floor even twice, because VP themselves had a bomb site they just could not win in CCTV cash. But again, you have to favor the team that's already gone and done the hard part, right? Virtus.pro up 5-2 now, a massive lead, and it will be gym and bedroom for the second site of Weibo.
They've done one hard part. This is the next hard part, backing it up. Because if they go on and lose the next 2 rounds, it was all for nothing. So they have to win one of the next 2. You've got to think about this game now in quarters. You've got to think about it in groups of 3 rounds, in defensive rotations. Virtus.pro need to come away with 2. So by winning the first one, the difficult one, they've given themselves an opportunity. They now pick up one of the weaker sites, and they are great. It's done. They move on. If Weibo win the next 2, they have rescued themselves. They've got back to within 1, and you start that next defensive rotation again. VP have got to do the hard bit all over again. So really, really important round 8 here. You either come away with a 6-2 or a 5-3. Virtus.pro, of course, will be hoping for the former.
The 2-man cash extension, Speakeasy on the Clash, trying to lock things down aggressively here in cash. It's actually Turd and Gotti who are playing over here, as Gotti's just made his way over towards these red stairs. He's trying to make some rotations for his teammates. Name of the game early, of course, going to be waste as much time as you can. Gotti literally came over to open up top red rotate and then went straight back to site. So it will be Speakeasy and Turd who are trying to lock this side of the map down. And VP, they are going to go for this full map clear, right? They're starting to take control of Rafters now. They're starting to work their way in through CC. They're starting to drone this out a little bit, but Weibo, they're kind of playing a little bit more passive than what we've come to expect from them, Tim. They're already giving up this CC control. Speakeasy is backing things up on the Clash, and while they have the opportunity to re-aggress and maybe play with their food a bit, this is a lot of map control they're giving up to VP.
Yeah, it's maybe taking a leaf out of VP's book. It's something that you suggest that they may do, Jesse. Get a little bit more passive. Try to do to VP what was done to them. But Virtus.pro, are you going going to have that little bit extra on attack? Are you going to be able to get aggressive? Use those areas that you are given. We're a minute and a half through the round. They have now been given as far as construction. They haven't yet taken it. Are they going to fall foul of the same problems that Weibo did? I'd like to see somebody on those site windows at this point. I'd like to see somebody pushing into construction. Bit of pressure in logistics. Start making them feel the pressure.
Rorik versus Reaps on the bottom floor is going to be a really critical fight to see who comes out on top, because if Rorik can do that, if he can find that opening frag onto Reaps, all of a sudden he's below in the Zofia. Speakeasy's job gets way more difficult, having to worry about the Zofia down below, alongside the fact that Dan is on this Kali. Unlike when Weibo were playing this site, there's so many good opening duels to come through their way and ways to counter out that clash. Rorik has just done what he needed to do. He forces Reaps back, he takes control of that bottom floor, doesn't get the kill, but Tim, that's good enough. He's taken this space and can apply vert pressure.
Yeah, there's very little chance that Reaps can go down here and win a fight. He gets spotted out there. You can see he's back up the stairs. He doesn't want to overcommit to that. We can see now the Zofia getting to work underneath as well. He's still concerned about those though. How about this? Gotti moves around, takes down the shield. Here comes the aggression though. 30 seconds left. Weibo are standing up tall at a minute. 2 kills from Turd. They needed their superstar to deliver, and he does. Rorik, he has a response, so takes down Gotti. These rounds are so hard fought between them. However, Turd makes it 3. That is going to be the round almost certainly over. Hoven picks up the last against Pasha. Weibo have a response, and they've got 1 round of 2 that they needed. This one just keeps going. It's anybody's, Jesse.
They needed him to be the MVP map 1 versus Enterprise. They needed him to be the MVP map 2 versus Enterprise. They needed to be the MVP just earlier today on Chalet. It's always Turd. It's always him who steps up and finds value for his team in a critical round there. Round 8. He plays so well around that clash being piloted by Speakeasy. He's able to step up and use that slow from his teammate to just find the pressure, find these kills as Virtus.pro are struggling to get in through construction. The attempt there from VP to drop the Logi hatch, to kind of pinch in from construction and Logi, and then 1 player coming in from below from Rorik. It was a good attempt coming forward, but that clash just completely stalled them out. They didn't have a good answer to get past that bit of utility, despite all of the good operators they brought. They had the Zofia, they had the Kali, but it didn't seem to matter when Turd was still being able to play behind Speakeasy. They shut down some of these positions and got those kills. I like how passive Speakeasy played, because if he goes down on the clash on the cash extension, that's GG. That's probably 6-2, but they play it passive, they bunker up in sight, and Turd, what a round from him.
Weibo needs heroes. Weibo needs heroes. They need to back those players, and one of them just showed up. And the thing is, they've got a roster full of them, so Virtus.pro, it might just be back to the drawing board, but this really is now the critical round. Like we said, Virtus.pro did the hard yards. They got the win in Church and Arsenal, but in order for that to have any value, in order for it to mean anything, they have to get this round. They needed to get one of the following 2. We're thinking of this in 3s now, and if Weibo can take that mini victory, that 2-1 out of those 3, then they continue on looking for overtime. Virtus.pro, this is the moment to prove that you're one of the best.
We always say when attacking CCTV Cash, you need rafters or you need construction. Weibo went for rafters twice. VP are changing the script. They're going to go construction side, ignoring Turdsta, who was playing in that rafters position on the Azami. Immediately you're seeing Weibo respond really nicely. Turd's actually given up rafters. They're not holding it at all because they've seen where VP want to take. So this is good to fight into what VP are showing. They're taking the space on Jacuzzi. They're starting to breach their way in through this top floor. Speakeasy's getting huge information here to try to open things up for his teammates to get these frags. The opening duel is going to be absolutely critical on this first 90 seconds.
Yeah, they're not really moving the clash too much yet. A little bit of damage taken. I think it was actually from a Toxic Babe canister. We did hear the clash coughing a little bit, so I think it might have been from his own team, but Zofia just working underneath as well. They're going to need, like you say, a little bit. There's a minute 20 left on the clock. They haven't touched anything towards site yet. Work needs to be done. Moving on up the stairs. That utility will tell him that there is nobody present there. Don't want to waste too much of it. It tells him that the clash is up at the top of the stairs, and that's one of your shield breaks. That's one of your opportunities. Neko manages to take down Hoven, but it wasn't the opener. The Grim was lost before that. Gotti getting that kill. 55 seconds, and they're still fighting over the bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, this is completely off the site at this point, Tim. They're all fighting towards Master, and it's going back and forth. These extended players are starting to fall back now. 45 seconds still on the clock. Speakeasy and Reaps, they kind of want to head back, but if they're hitting shots like this, they might not need to. The frags are all going the way of Weibo Gaming. They've managed to find these picks in and around the Master side of the map, and Rorik is now left in a devastating 1v2.
Yeah, Gotit is on site though, so he does have a 1v1 opportunity, but Reaps is there waiting, takes him down, and the damage that was done on Church and Arsenal by Virtus.pro has been repaired by Weibo. We go again into a full defensive rotation whereby if Weibo can just do what they've done in those last 3 rounds, they will take us to overtime. This one will need some extra.
I love the read from Weibo in that round, Tim. They do a great job of completely giving up Raptors, giving up all of that site control and just going back to the site. And even the players that are not necessarily near where that push is coming from, they're finding ways to have impact. Turd, who was initially on the Raptor spot, comes all the way up to bedroom to try and play close on those highway windows and shut off some good angles and get some early picks. And Gotti, who never really left the site, he got a pick through the CC window onto the highway player, so he got a really good frag early in the round there. And then late in the round, Pasha actually found a gap. Pasha was not with the rest of the team. He actually entered Garage and worked his way up through Rafters, took the 1v1 fight against Gotti on site. The information was there. I thought Gotti was a really underrepresented player in that round. We didn't quite see it from him, but the value that he had holding down the back lines and still having impact on that roam game was absolutely phenomenal. It keeps Weibo alive in this game.
I love that from Weibo, just really backing themselves. We've actually seen a nice combination. We at the beginning of this game, at the beginning of this half, sorry Jesse, we're talking about, you know, what do they do here? Do they play it passive like VP? Do they keep that kind of Weibo aggression and take the fight to VP? We've actually seen a really nice combination of the two. We've had rounds, Gym and Bedroom, where they did play it really passive and they got the win. They were able to grind it out. And then we've seen CCTV and Cash, where they just drew a line. They just drew a line over in Master and said, nope, we will not be moved out of here. We are going to take the fights. We live or die by Master and Logistics. And they lived and they got the round 5-4 on the scoreboard. It's round 10.
All eyes on Turd. Last time it was a heavy 3-man roam, really a 4-man roam, honestly, with Gotti playing on that middle floor. This time, everybody is playing passively down and around that bomb site, with the exception of Turd, sitting with that Vector inside of construction on a mute jammer. How much damage can he deal? And this is smart from Weibo Gaming, because if this goes poorly, like it did back in round 7, who cares, right? Like, Turd going down would suck, but he's already used his utility, and instead, he's fighting the Blackbeard with these impacts. He's got the shield break, but he's missing these fights. They know where he's at now. They have to be able to collapse on Turd.
This is it. Get him down and get him taken out of the round quickly. Get aggressive. Back yourselves here. Make sure that you're getting this done without losing anybody. That's the big thing. You've got a shield here. There's absolutely no excuse. Turd is quite clearly going absolutely nowhere. He wants to get aggressive, but he goes too aggressive and loses his life. And that's what I was talking about. You know, if you put Turd in that sort of position, he's going to try to make a move, and you can take advantage of that. They get the opener. They take one of the star players out. He was influential in the last round. He won't be in this.
But that's a risk that Weibo were willing to take. Again, if Turd dies and gets nothing, who cares? You know, Turd's a great player, but he's already used all of his utility down the bottom floor. He wastes a bit of time for his teammates, and there's no danger of anybody else dying in that engagement. So this was the strategy from Weibo. They knew that was a chance. They gamble a little bit, but they give themselves the opportunity to just hold things onto this basement in the 4v5. This is a bomb site where the time gets low. You can put yourself in a really powerful position. I like how much soft breach VP are bringing. They've got breaching charges on both Dan and Skies, plus of course the secondary pistol from Rorik and different opportunities to start working on these floors. So they're going to have a lot of time to work with. They're going to be able to open these hatches. They're going to be able to work on the floorboards. The question is, can they get past the Toxic Babes, the Nitros, the Kibas, and of course those Echo drones being piloted by Speakeasy.
Yeah, it feels like the next kill is going to be particularly influential. If it goes in the direction of Virtus.pro, you feel like they might just be that moment of the seal breaking the collapse onto site where they continue to get aggressive. There is a shield holding them back. There's now toxic gas as well. They do have the kitchen hatch open. They've got the motor hatch open, so they have options. The drop is going to come into motor. Still waiting for this smoke to clear. The challenge onto the hatch. The challenge onto motor. Reaps. Speakeasy standing tall. Another for the Blackbeard. No! Hoven's got his teammate covered. Keeps the Echo in the game, who then gets another 4v1. 1 second left. left to go. Nothing Virtus.pro can do. Church and Arsenal this time goes to Weibo.
Weibo have just flipped this match on its head. That's 3 full bomb sites, Tim, where they've run back to back to back, and with that, they tie the game. 5-5, full momentum for the APL squad here at the Esports World Cup, and what a strategy it was. They knew that even if Turd went down, they had such strong site presence, and I thought Speakeasy was absolutely phenomenal.
Yep.
A lot of Echo players in that position, Tim, would have been trying to hide deep in the site, use their yokai drones. He said, I've got a shotgun, I'm playing close on Moto. Why don't I go for a couple of swings? And he absolutely had massive impact, shutting down that push from VP. A lot of their players were pushing Moto. They had a really heavy main stairs extension as well, while Rourke was doing his best, kind of on that blue side of the map. It was a solid push attempt coming through from Virtus.pro, but they just didn't quite have the utility to push through on that execute. It was a great roam clearing utility. They had loads of hard breach, but they were really just relying on Nako to break things open in the site. And after he went down, what was the win con? They didn't really have one. So VP scramble. They have to call their tack timeout here, and Weibo Gaming have a great opportunity to win this 7-5.
Yeah, they really do. They've got those 2 top floor sites to hold on to. I want to give Hoven a shout there as well. There was a good chance that the round was won by that point, but when that Echo gets put down, Speakeasy by the Blackbeard, the cover from his teammate, absolutely beautiful, and it just goes to show, always have your teammates back, because what happens, Speakeasy gets up and then gets another with the shotgun. Like, just brilliant stuff coming out of Weibo, really getting their heads together, working as a team, and getting that one over the line. 2 more rounds will see them through to the quarterfinals. Virtus.pro, it feels like they're on the ropes at the minute, Jesse. They're taking a few body blows here. They're having the wind knocked out of them. They've had the tack timeout. They've had the minute with the coach to try and get their breath back, to try and get themselves into this one. This could be a bad day at the office for Virtus.pro.
It was heartbreak in Salt Lake City when they barely missed out on top 8. Now here at the Esports World Cup, history seems to be repeating itself. Weibo Gaming, they got blown out on map 1, but what did we say? That was all right. They knew they were going to win this series on maps 2 and 3. They dominated on Chalet. They went to an early deficit here on Clubhouse, but they've done a great job of battling things back, trusting in their defenses, setting themselves up for success, and here on their final opportunity to win on Gym and Bedroom, I really like what they're bringing to the table, Tim. No more clash this time around. They already showed that once. Instead, they've got Speakeasy on the Maestro. They're sending quite heavily into Garage with Turd back here on the Azami. This is a difficult setup for VP to try to crack open.
I feel like a large portion of this is going to be about that catwalk clearance, because they need to get CCTV, they need to get cash, and we don't often see this, you know, to this degree on a Gym and Bedroom hold. It tends to be top red, it tends to be cash. Going for a full-on garage hold, you'll sometimes get somebody playing out there, but with the Kiba barricades, with the magnets, with everything that they've got, Turd, he could literally win this round from here. Dan is going to take down Reaps. Big start for Virtus.pro though.
Yeah, this is where it gets kind of expensive to commit to this roam game, Tim. Last time they let Turd die earlier in the round and it was okay. They were still able to recover. Now Turd's in a position where he should go down. Maybe he gets some kills here, but you've already lost Reap, so this is a very expensive roam game.
Going to take a little bit of damage as well, though, so they could find themselves soon in a 5v3. They've got the shield in lower garage. Kiba barricades start to be taken away. The pressure is mounting, but Turd is holding on for the time being. He's just keeping himself out of danger. New Kiba barricade will replace the old. However, he is going to be pressured with a shield at some point, but it's the time that's really starting to concern me for Virtus.pro. They've been nowhere near sight.
Yeah, Turd is still in rafters, bro. We're almost 2 minutes deep into this round, and he still exists. Even if he dies at this point, who cares? He finally goes down, but Tim, that feels way too late.
It really does. There's so much now for Virtus.pro. They haven't got cash. They haven't got top red. They still have to move these. There is maybe an opportunity, actually, for them to rotate around and find the space inside a site and just pick off the defenders as they try to move back. As it is, I think Weibo take a really nicely timed run back into sight, but Skies is there on those windows to take advantage. 35 seconds.
Hoven needs to be able to play quick with it, Speakeasy. These 2 players inside the site have the time on their side. They have to play around it. Construction control by VP, highway control by VP. They're going to have to try to funnel in towards the bomb site and find these picks without going down.
Dan gets the first. It's all up to Hoven now. 1 versus 4. This one could guarantee a minimum of overtime. They jump over the top of him. Hoven gets a double, but the Blackbeard comes to the rescue. It's Nako again. Virtus.pro get round 11. It's 6-5. They guarantee themselves overtime as a minimum for the chance for that quarter-final place, Weibo. They have to win the next round or we will see their key crushed along with their hopes.
Tim, the time was all favoring Weibo, but what we learned on map number 1 is VP don't seem to know what the clock is. It doesn't matter if there's 15, 10, 5 seconds left in the round. Their ability to put and execute together out of nothing with a little bit of a man advantage, pushing into that site together is so incredible to watch, and they do just that despite the time wasted by Turd. They lose a couple too many bodies. They don't get any picks on that roam game, and I think you got to give a huge amount of credit as well to Skies, because as those 3 players in the 3v5 were rotating back to site, all of them had pushed into at least construction. As they came back to site, Skies was already on the window, watching for them, holding the cut. He gets 1-for-1 trade. He makes it down to a 2v4, and I think that gives them just the edge that they need. In a 3v5 with 30 seconds, I kind of back Weibo in that position, but the fact that Skies goes 1-for-1 makes it go down to that 2-player lead for Weibo. I just think it's not quite enough to hold on, and VP 1 round away now from top 8 at the Esports World Cup.
Hoven has gone for the Oryx pick. I think he did try to hide it from the drones. He was off in the bathroom, in the shower, just trying to keep off the radar. Obviously looking to try and deal with Nako. Nako on the shields, who continues to be a thorn in the side of Weibo. But this time, Nako is not going to bring the shield. He's going to bring the glass. I would like to see Virtus.pro maybe mix this up a little bit. It didn't work going Master last time. They just got into a quagmire where they were slowed down and so much time was burnt away from them. This time, I think keep it simple, keep it basic, get your catwalk, get your CCTV breach, get your lounge control, put the diffuser down.
And Tim, that's exactly what they're doing, right? Clearly the focus here is going to be on Garage. Nako's already setting himself up outside of that area, and Nako being on the glass, he's going to be the one to try to break this hold open. Turd is playing that position on the Azami. I think the whole game plan for Hoven was to kind of jump up that gym hatch, but that's not really going to be an option if VP don't care to take gym control, don't care to take master. Instead, it's going to be on to Nako to pressure these Kiva barriers down, to put this pressure onto Turd. It all comes down to the MVP from Weibo Gaming. He has been the one to step up on all of their victories so far. He has to be able to do it again on Rafters.
Pasha's getting aggressive here. I like the Selma on the inside of the garage wall. It will make it difficult for Turd to stay in the position on Rafters, but Hoven gets Dan. That's not going to help clearing Rafters, because it means that that utility from the Capitao is lost. They continue to try battling with Turd. 1 minute 25 into the round. Virtus.pro yet again on CCTV cache, struggling to break down this Weibo defense.
Dan died with all 4 Capitao bolts still in his pocket. He used 0 utility, so that play from Hoven actually might have just won them the round. It means Turd's life is so much easier to hold on to. He's already wasted nearly 2 full minutes at the top of Garage, and he shows no signs of being forced. He's dead. He's been forced out, but that's okay. The time's been good.
Yeah, this is it. He's done his job. They're not aware of Hoven down in Oil Pit, I don't think. If he plays this patiently, he takes down Nako on the glass. That is another big kill. Glass, one of those operators you'd be wanting to have on the cover when that diffuser is going down. 3 versus 4. 40 seconds left to go, and Weibo, they're starting to feel themselves. Hoven's had a hell of a game and a hell of a round. 12-7 at the minute with the Oryx dash out. Can't find his man, but it keeps VP guessing.
This might be absolutely everything. Rourke's going to commit to this plant, but there's a lot of utility to stop this. Reap's got a nitro cell. Toxic Babes have been burned at this point. They're down below.
Rorik could go for the plant here. They are in a position where it's possible. He will now go for it. Nitro in hand, though. They know that this is a problem. Rorik has to dip out once again. Does he relocate? No. Reeves manages to find him with a pinpoint throw. They now have to scramble. I don't see any way Virtus.pro do this. They make the call, and it's Pasha who goes in, gets that diffuser, but with the kill, Reeves forces him off, and we're going to overtime, Jesse.
That might have been the craziest CCTV cache play I've ever seen from Hoven, Tim. The fact that he goes to the Oryx, and despite the fact that plan A doesn't work out, you know, he starts over by pool table. He starts wanting to go for a flank if they take that master side, but he finds other ways to get value. They had the castle barricade on stock, so even if the attackers had lounge control, he was still able to jump up that hatch and run out the door. Not expected at all from Virtus.pro. It was brilliant from Hoven, and then in Oil Pit, the fact that he gets 2. Just nasty coming out. One of the best players on Weibo Gaming. I thought that C4 from Reaps was so good because he ripped it twice before. He was just wasting time. He'd rip the C4, plant wouldn't commit, wouldn't throw it. Rip the C4, wouldn't throw it. Finally throws it and gets the kill because of it. He played mind games with Virtus.pro in that site and played absolutely phenomenally. Reaps and Hoven putting in the work that round. All of the plans coming together from Weibo Gaming, and the fact that they pull out a strategy like that, the Oryx run out Rome, coming out on round 12, elimination point on the Esports World Cup. That might just be enough aura to push this one through.
6-6 we found ourselves then. Virtus.pro continue on the attack. It has been a 2-4.5 for them. As you say, Weibo now getting to use those strong sites to their advantage on the defence. Turd straight up to that top floor once again for what will be a Church and Arsenal defence. Last time around he wasted over 1:40 up here on the top floor before they were able to deal with him. Virtus.pro need to move a little bit quicker in the early round this time.
Game plan is going to be the same as it's been, Tim. Make sure that on this bottom floor you don't lose too many bodies. Last time it was just Turd. The solo roam up inside of CC. Now it'll be Gaudy's time to make that play happen. He takes a little bit of damage early in this round and gets out of dodge. I like this play. Commit to having 5 guys in the bomb sites. Force VP to execute. They've been good at it so far. Don't get me wrong, but if you can play your life here on the side of Weibo Gaming, if you can play 5v5 for the execute with all the utility you have, you've got Nitro cells being guided by these Valcams too, that's going to be the win con. They don't need to fight VP early on the roam game because they've got 3 Nitro cells and they've got cameras to guide them.
Virtus.pro pretty happy, I think, at this point that the map is clear. The last bit of droning will go on, but they move in towards Garage and will start working on getting those hatches. That'll be the job of Skies on the Hibana, but from the movement, I think fairly confident that they've got themselves the control they need. Gotti has taken a bunch of damage along the way. You spoke about the Nitros, you spoke about those win conditions. Needs to be careful that he doesn't give his life away because he's got one of those win conditions in his pocket.
This is where we're going to see VP start to enter this middle floor where things get really scary. I like that Dan's on this IQ though, Tim. He's been able to clear out a lot of these Valkyrie cameras and make the information so much more devastating for Weibo. If this does end up being a 5v5 push, if the Nitro cells don't find their marks before Virtus.pro go for the execute, you're looking at a Sens, you're looking at a Ying, you're looking at a Blackbeard. The execute operators are really good. I kind of feel like Weibo need to do something to get the man count advantage.
Pasha's on a bit of a lurk out towards blue at the minute, so they are setting up for a multi-angled push here, which I like. You can never attack this site from just one side. They're getting the hatches open, they're getting into blue, they're getting onto main stairs. They're going to make it difficult for Weibo to focus in any one direction. 1 Nitro goes out, unsuccessful, 2 remaining.
That's going to be key. He's still some players inside of Kitchen. They are vulnerable to these C4s, but so much of the floorboards already opened up. It's difficult for Weibo to get in that position inside of Armory and actually commit to throwing those Nitro cells over. This push is looking like it's going to come Kitchen side. There's so much pressure there on the main stairs, and then maybe a little bit of pressure on blue side too with Rourke all by himself. The Sens walls will come out now. VP start to draw up their attack.
Yeah, it's about time to start thinking of putting that diffuser down. It gives them an opportunity to pick it up and collect should it not go to plan. Nade goes in to try and deal with the deep player, but Toxic Babe canister was out and did its damage. Pasha, Rorik do more though, but Reap stands tall. He's had a big couple of rounds and it continues. 2 versus 3, and it looks like Virtus.pro might be out of ideas. They have to take the drops. A quad comes in for Reap, third with the final, and it's going to be advantage Weibo. They need one more round. They get 2 chances to get into the quarterfinal and to get onto the main stage.
Reaps 96, the player that's been talked about for Weibo for years now. Ridiculous sensitivity, comes in alive for Weibo at the end of this game, Tim. We've spent all tournament talking about Turd, talking about Hoven, talking about Gaudy, but Reaps has always been that threat, lurking in the back lines, waiting to pop off, hoping for his moment, and that is exactly where it was. They didn't just beat Virtus.pro by playing their strategy on the roam game. They didn't just beat Virtus.pro by getting a man count advantage in the early game. They didn't even get some cheeky C4 kills. They let Virtus.pro execute. The one thing that they have struggled with all series long was stopping those VP executes, and Reap said no more. He said, this is where we finally put our foot down and make a stand. 7-6 now for Weibo Gaming. 2 opportunities to send VP home and advance to the final weekend.
Weibo made it into the top 8 at the 6 Invitational, where they lost 2-0 to Team Secret in the lower bracket. They are hoping to go further here. The first step in doing so is to get themselves into that top 8 again, and they are one round away from doing so. And then it's just one more win and they get at least their best ever finish, not to mention the big prize money that goes with every space you jump up at this tournament. Unbelievable stuff so far, and so many heroes across the side of Weibo. I said they just needed to back those big names. They needed to have that confidence. Hoven, Reaps, Turd, all delivering.
You know what, Tim? It took 14 rounds, but I'm finally seeing a bit of change from Weibo that I really like. It's a small swap, but Gotti has moved from flashbangs on the Hibana over to the breaching charges. That's going to give them that soft breach ability that they haven't had so far, attacking onto the bottom floor. It might not be a ram or a sledge, but it's still going to give them those options once they clear out these roamers. Now, for the first time, it looks like Virtus.pro might actually be committing to this roam game. Weibo did such a good job of clearing these guys on Chalet. If they can do it again, get the man advantage, work the verts, go for an advantage, execute, that'll be the game.
It always raises the question of Turd on the snake. He's got an absolute freebie. We've picked him out as a danger.
No way.
Throughout this game, he makes the F2 sing again, picks up a double, and that could be the first blow dealt to Virtus.pro here in round 12. Turd taken out, but the damage done, Jesse.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge. He spots the gap, he makes the play, he gets 2 of those anchor players down, and now you see the movements from Virtus.pro. They can no longer commit to the roam game because they realize the guy's in their sights. Oh, we're getting spicy now. Weibo Gaming with a massive man advantage. All of the roamers have to return, and there's so much time for Weibo to work with.
Turd deciding there's a little bit of work he can do after death. Whether Virtus.pro have got the chat on or not, I don't think they're going to be looking at it somehow. 3 versus 4. They are now desperately holding on. We could see Virtus.pro's key being crushed far before many might have expected. They were considered one of the favourites, I think, coming into this tournament, but right now they might fail to make it out of the top 12.
It's important they take their time here, Tim. They cannot rush this. They've got time on the clock to play with. Use that. Open the hatches, work these floorboards, start to force these players out of the advantageous positions. They don't have to rush it. I want to see Gotti using the breaching charges just like this. Create an advantage for your team so that when the players inside a site are looking at their positions, they can't be at the bottom of main. They can't be deep inside of Armory. They have to play these isolated spots over towards blue and over towards church.
I think we're going to see the shield drop into Moto. Speakeasy goes for it, but Neko, he's there. He keeps the dream alive. As does Rorik, 3v2. They've got heroes of their own. Reaps manages to pick up Pasha, 14th kill in the game. 2v2, 25 seconds left to go. You feel a little bit of an advantage for Virtus.pro. At the minute, they just need to keep holding on. Neko low health, so is Rorik. Reaps with another make it 15. 15 seconds left to go. Weibo sending the utility, sending everything, looking for this last man. I'm not sure that they're aware of Rorik's position, but Gotti finds him. Weibo on their feet, letting everybody know how they feel about making the final 8 here at the Esports World Cup.
It